Nepal government seeks suggestions from public on constitution amendment, has to reach via email or WhatsApp by 7 days. Severe heat alert issued for 6 districts of Western Nepal. Met division urges people to adopt precautionary measures. Most people seeking green cards must now apply from outside US. Move part of the Trump administration efforts to curtail illegal immigration. At least 90 killed in a coal mine explosion in China. Blast constitutes the country's worst mining disaster in 16 years. Visiting US Secretary of State Rubio meets Indian Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. Visit expected to put India-US partnership on firmer grounds. And Nepal defeats Kyrgyzstan in straight sets in the Kava Women's Volleyball Championship. Also keeps its chances of reaching semis alive. Good evening, I am April Singh Lama and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. The details now. Nepal's Secretariat of the Constitution Amendment Discussion Paper Task Force has invited suggestions and feedback from the general public. The task force has called for written recommendations within 7 days with the aim of ensuring the participation of all Nepali citizens in the constitutional amendment process. The task force has also provided a WhatsApp number 98560299947 for submitting feedback. The task force is coordinated by Asim Shah, political advisor to Prime Minister Balendra Shah. It has already held discussions and collected written suggestions from various political parties. According to the task force, consultations have also been conducted with constitutional experts, legal professionals, senior advocates, former bureaucrats, former diplomats, media personnel and political figures to gather recommendations. Member Secretary Leeladhar Subedi said that the task force is continuing discussions and collecting suggestions from experts and stakeholders from different sectors in the preparation for the Constitution Amendment discussion paper. Now, Nepal's Minister for Health and Food Hygiene, Nisha Mehta, held a discussion with a high-level team of the Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, on matters regarding the effective availability of vaccines in Nepal. In her discussions with a high-level team of Gavi on the sidelines of the 79th World Health Assembly of the World Health Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, earlier today, she said that continued cooperation and collaboration with Gavi is indispensable to prevent any adverse impact on the vaccination program during the transition period. She said that continuous cooperation and close coordination with Gavi is indispensable as Nepal's public health expenditure is still limited to around 5% of the gross domestic production. During the meeting, both sides expressed commitment to ensuring equitable access to life-saving health services, including vaccination for all citizens even during the period of transition, and to further expand the partnership between Nepal and Gavi. Now, Gavi has been a key partner in Nepal's national immunization program since 2000. Minister Mehta mentioned that Gavi has played a significant technical and financial role in the successful expansion of HPV and other life-saving vaccines, including rubella elimination, which Nepal achieved by 2025. Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, is a public-private partnership that helps vaccinate more than half the world's children against some of the world's deadliest diseases. Moving on, Nepal's Minister for Information and Communications, Dr. Bikram Timosina, has emphasized that community radios should be technology-friendly and operated as per people's expectations. At a program organized in Kathmandu today on the occasion of the 30th founding day of South Asia's first community broadcasting service, Radio Sagarmatha 102.4 MHz, he said dignified and responsible journalism is the need of the day.
जनताको पैसा खर्च हुने विज्ञापनहरुको अब हिसाब किताब हुन्छ अब त्यसको अध्ययन हुन्छ त्यसमा अनुसन्धान हुन्छ र राम्रो काम गर्ने अकाउन्टेबल काम गर्ने एउटा मानक स्थापना गर्ने संस्थाहरु चाहिँ योबाट जनताको पैसाबाट लाभान्वित हुनुपर्छ खासमा जनताको इन्ट्रेस्टको लागि जस्ता मिडियाहरुले काम गर्छन् त्यस्तो मिडियाहरुले चाहिँ जनताको पैसाको लाभ लिन पाउनुपर्छ त्यो पनि जनताको हितको लागि
A court meeting has been held between Lumbini Province Chief Minister Chetnarayan Acharya and the United Kingdom's Minister for Indo-Pacific Affairs Siva Malhotra. During the meeting, discussions were held on the long-standing historical and friendly relations between Nepal and the United Kingdom, development partnerships and the development priorities of Lumbini Province. Chief Minister Acharya stated that the Lumbini Province government is focused on sustainable, inclusive and employment-oriented economic growth. He further noted that Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha, continues to send a message of peace, tolerance and compassion to the world. The meeting also included discussions on how UK support could be made more effective in the areas of human capital development, skills enhancement, health system strengthening, climate change adaptation, agricultural transformation, sustainable infrastructure development, good governance and digital transformation. Time to go for a short break. We shall be back with more updates. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Welcome back. Now, a luggage tag system will now be implemented on long-distance public transport vehicles departing from the Kathmandu Valley. The system is being introduced with the aim of ensuring the safety of passengers' belongings, preventing luggage from being lost or exchanged, and making public transportation more organized. In this regard, the Kathmandu Valley Traffic Police Office and the National Federation of Transport Entrepreneurs signed a formal agreement yesterday. Chief of the Kathmandu Valley Traffic Police Office and Senior Superintendent of Police Navraj Adhikari said such a system had become necessary to control the growing incidence of luggage theft, lost bags and illegal activities in public transportation. Another new arrangement which will come into effect from May 29th, code or number tags will be attached to passengers' luggage at bus counters. The same number will also be provided to passengers. The luggage will only be handed over at the destination after both tags are matched. In other news, severe heat has been anticipated in 6 districts of western Nepal. Accordingly, the National District Risk Reduction and Management Authority NDRRMA has issued an alert notice urging all concerned to adopt precautionary measures. Authorities said the temperature in certain regions of the West Tarai, especially in Lumbini and Sudur Paschim province, may surpass 40 degrees Celsius from today through Monday. The districts of Dang, Bake, Bardia, Doti, Kailali and Kanchanpur are under heightened alert, with additional districts such as Kapilvastu, Rupandehi and others also advised to keep a close watch on the situation. The authority cautions that the extreme heat and hot air waves could result in moderate to severe effects on human health, manifesting symptoms such as fatigue, dehydration, headache and dizziness. Consequently, all disaster management agencies are urged to prepare for necessary counteractions. Meanwhile, the Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has reported observing a swift rise in temperatures since early May. To alleviate the consequences of the heat wave, the authority suggests that individuals remain indoors during peak sunlight hours. Protective clothing should be worn and maintain hydration is important. Outdoor activities have been asked to restrict to early morning or late afternoon, and children and the elderly should be shielded from direct sunlight to avoid heat-related diseases. Now, in this context, we are now being joined live by weather analyst Ujjwal Upadhyay to have his insights on the severe heat alert affecting Western Nepal. Welcome to NTV World, Mr. Upadhyay.
Thank you.
So first of all, this is for the general public. So what does this latest weather forecast actually mean? Are we looking at a temporary weather disturbance or a more serious heat wave pattern across Nepal? What is it?
Well, right now the problem is there has been the severe tussle between westerly wind and easterly. So actually, by this time, in fact, the monsoon is supposed to enter Nepal by this week, right? But I have a big doubt that the strong westerly wind, which is continuously coming from Western India across our country, particularly from the far western Nepal and coming towards Gandaki area. So this may affect the proper onset or proper activation of monsoon and even the timely enter of the monsoon. That's why we have been seeing that there has been the sufficient rainfall taking place in the eastern part of the country, even the central. Even in Kathmandu, we received a good amount of rainfall this afternoon. But the western part of the country, particularly the Tarai and the mid hills, they are burning. In fact, they are boiling, right? So this is the main problem. And there has been the frequent tussle between the strong westerly wind, which that should not have been the case right now. The westerly wind should have become very weak, and there should have been a continuous domination of the easterly wind. So that would have made a lot of things easy, but mainly because of the continuous climate change that we have been seeing for past several years, this has become a permanent and stagnant phenomena for past several years.
Right. So, Mr. Upadhyay, as you mentioned, the influence of westerly winds and local winds, also the low pressure systems. Can you explain in simple terms how these systems are shaping Nepal's current weather conditions?
Okay. Talking about westerly wind, there are majorly two types of wind system or the wind current system that happens in Nepal. So starting from June to October, the easterly wind actually dominates. And that is the main time when pre-monsoon and post-monsoon and particularly the monsoon season do happen. And that's mainly because of the easterly wind. And from October, November onwards till April, May, the westerly wind actually dominates, right? But for past several years, we have also been seeing that the northwesterly wind have also started dominating, particularly in the time of February and March. And it brings a lot of pollution because that comes through the Thar, the desert of India, and also a few part of Tibet. And it comes with a lot of dust particles and PM10. So these are the three major wind patterns. So that actually prevails in our part of the world, right, in our country. But there are also the local wind system are quite active. Because in our part of the world, what happens is the Nepal, you see, this is a highly varied geography that we have, and we have a lot of small and microclimatic zone, right? Where and a lot of water bodies as well. So actually, those develop into a localized wind system, and that creates evaporation because of the water bodies, and we also have a lot of forest. And it's mainly because of the continuous evaporation and evapotranspiration, the wind system actually develops a local hydrological system causing localized rain. So these are some of the examples of local winds and how it triggers the local rainfall system. And as far as uh, local pressure is concerned, so what happens is whenever there is the intense heating do happen, then what happens is the air becomes dry and warm, and it rises up because of the low density. And because when it goes up, then the vacuum is created, and that area is called either depression or low pressure. So what happens is when that air goes up, then it condenses because as you go up, the temperature reduces, the temperature lapses, and it, converts into the condensation, creating the cloud, and it gives rise to the sudden thunderstorm and heavy rainfall, right? And the same phenomena, if happens in Bay of Bengal, then it brings a lot of clouds and all over the country. I mean, the rainfall happens all over the country. But if the same sort of low pressure is created in the isolated part, then it causes rainfall in the localized area, not in the huge landmass.
Right. So, according to your expertise, when do you think can people expect relief from the current heat conditions, well, especially in Kathmandu and the Western Tarai?
Well, as I told you earlier, that there has been the continuous tussle between westerly wind and the monsoon, and the easterly, because right now the eastern part of the country, particularly Kochi and Bagmati, are experiencing easterly, and the rest of the parts are experiencing westerly. So monsoon actually in Kerala, monsoon actually arrived 10 days before its actual onset day. So we were expecting the same, right? So particularly the western part of the country, the way the westerly wind has become more stagnant and more persistent, it is difficult to tell you that when the monsoon will be coming to the country and when is it going to activate. But for at least next 7 days, the western part of the country is going to be warmer, and the mercury can soar up to 45 degrees Celsius or even beyond, right? But eastern part of the country, and particularly the eastern hills, including the hills of Bagmati around Kathmandu, it will keep receiving the rainfall, particularly in the afternoon. But remaining part of the country, including eastern and central Tarai, the temperature is going to be around 40-45 degrees Celsius, and the life is going to be even tougher for next 1 week. And we can't say exactly what happens after that, because reliable weather can be predicted only for the next 7 days, and after that we have to wait what happens after that.
Right. So before we let you go, I want to ask you a last question. So with the changing of the weather pattern with sudden rain, thunder, changing wind, is this becoming Nepal's new normal due to climate change, or is this still considered a seasonal phenomenon?
Well, this is not only the case in Nepal, but it is happening everywhere, right? So there are the main reasons why the heat wave is increasing than in the past. So the first reason is the human-induced climate change, because we have emitted so much of greenhouse gas from the world that the atmosphere has become full of carbon, and it is absorbing a lot of solar heat. So that is actually increasing the global temperature, right? And rising of temperature by 1.3 degree, 1.4 degree is not a small thing. It's a phenomenal. And slight rise in temperature can bring significant turbulence in the wind system, keeping one area absolutely dry and other area absolutely drenched. And another reason is the high pressure atmospheric system. What happens is, when in particular area, when the temperature rises by half a degree or even a degree, it develops a dome-shaped, right, high pressure dome-shaped system, right? And that actually doesn't let that air to disperse, and doesn't let any outer air system to come and intervene to bring rain. So these are some of the severe phenomena that we have been seeing for past several years. And also the weakened local ecosystem, because what has happened is we have cut a lot of forest, and also the water bodies have dried. And it's mainly because of the prolonged drought, in particularly in the winter, because this winter was fourth consecutive dry winter when the rainfall deficit was more than 80%, right? So it's mainly because of the prolonged drought. What happens is the soil moisture also goes severely down,
Right.
and also the forest area that becomes absolutely dry. And it becomes impossible for them to give moisture when there is the when there is the sunshine. Previously, what used to happen is we used to receive a lot of rainfall in the winter, and the soil and forest area used to be very, very wet. And upon getting the sunshine, it used to evaporate. And the same evaporation, the water system would give rise to the clouds, and we used to get sudden rainfall, right? So this system has been badly, affected because of the desiccated winter, winter rain, and also the increase in the global atmosphere and global temperature. So these are some of the reasons why that we have been facing the heat stress, not only in this part of the world, but everywhere. Particularly, if you look at the Indian subcontinent, and particularly the Western India, the scenario has been even more severe than our country.
Okay, that is time. Thank you, Mr. Upadhyay, for joining us and for the insight.
Okay, thank you so much.
Now we move on to other updates. A Nepal government-run agricultural center in Jhapa has emerged as a major hub for quality seed production and distribution, helping farmers access subsidized seeds while reducing dependence on imported varieties. Officials say the center is producing source seeds of paddy, maize, wheat and mustard, while new technology and modern machinery have also been introduced to expand processing capacity amid rising demand. Agriculture Extension Officer at Kanchan Seed Industry, Khemraj Ghimire, said Private seed industries in eastern Nepal have also been purchasing seeds from the government farm for further production because market prices at private agricultural shops are comparatively high. Information Officer Narayan Lamsa said the center has contributed not only to the development of improved seed varieties, but also to local employment generation. Farmers have stressed that strengthening such government-run agricultural centers could help save millions of rupees currently spent on importing seeds from abroad. Now, in a significant step towards social dignity and inclusion, local governments in Baitari district of Sudur Paschim province, Nepal, are actively involved in renaming offensive and discriminatory names of different places. However, remaining alone may not be enough as residents are calling for real development on the ground. Our colleague Subeksha Rajak, along with our correspondent Nari Badu, brings more.
Even today, the names of some villages in Sudur Paschim province of Nepal are uncomfortable to pronounce. The reason is that the names of certain settlements were given in a manner that was outright demeaning. In recent times, however, such place names and even the names of some individuals have begun to be corrected. This settlement, that was once known by an offensive name, has now been renamed Dhungeokhal. This is not an isolated case. Most of the offensive names in the area have been revised. In the past, the Dalit Society Development Forum and various organizations working in the field of Dalit rights had already renamed the names of some places. When the use of derogatory words in both place names and personal names came to light through media coverage and social networks, the government issued directives allowing such names to be formally changed. Under this directive, Patan municipality in Baitari district launched a dedicated campaign to remove all such offensive names within its jurisdiction.
एउटा पानेपा 5 को बसन्तपुर कुलडा भन्ने ठाउँमा डिमौडा भन्ने नाम थियो दलित बस्ती ठाउँमा त्यसलाई हामीहरुले अब मैले भनौं न वडाको नाम सिर्जन टोल राखेको छ किनभने सिर्जना भनेको एउटा कला हो कलाकार सम्झेर जसले काम गर्छ कला देखाउँछ आफ्नो काम गरेर कुनै निधि प्रस्तुत गर्छ बनाएर दिन्छ भने त्यो कला नै हो भन्ने हामीले सम्झेरलाई सिर्जन टोल राखेका छौं त्यस्तै विभिन्न टोलहरुका नाम पनि अब हिजोको दिनमा अपेलित नामहरु भएको हुनाले तिनीहरुलाई संशोधन गरेर नगरपालिका अहिलेको वर्तमान स्थितिमा अब संशोधन गर्नुपर्ने अवस्था देखिएका हुनाले पनि अब एउटा सम्मानको लागि पनि दलितहरुप्रति
While Patan municipality is the only local body to have run a formal campaign including replacing signboards, other municipalities have also resolved to correct such names. Dogda Kedar Rural Municipality has made a decision to rectify offensive names and is currently in the implementation phase.
राखेका थियौं त्यो योजनालाई र हामीले कयौं वडाहरुको नामहरुलाई अनौपचारिक रूपमा हामीले प्रस्ताव गरेका छौं कतिपय ठाउँमा छलफलहरु पनि हामीले गरिसकेका छौं कुन टोलको नामहरु के राख्ने भनेर.
Although locals feel a sense of relief after the removal of demeaning settlement names, they emphasize that actual physical development of these communities is equally necessary.
अहिलेको पुस्ताको नजरले हेर्दाखेरि त्यो अब अलि घेना जन्दाको आफुलाई नराम्रो फिल हुने जस्तो लाग्छ.
कला भन्दै ढोंगलाको अहिले ढोंगे ओखल राखेको छ. अनि त्यो अझौडा औजी बस्थे त्यहाँ पनि अब अर्जनपुर भनेर पहिला भन्थे अझौडाको अहिले तिलगाउँ राखेको छ.
While the process of renaming villages is underway, the revised names have not yet fully taken hold in everyday usage among the general public. For this reason, the government must also formulate and implement comprehensive programs for the overall development of these settlements.
International news coming up next. For now, a short breather. The U.S. has announced a new policy that means most immigrants seeking a green card will have to leave the country and apply at an embassy or consulate abroad. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services (USCIS) said that people seeking a change in status must do a thorough consular processing outside of the country except in extraordinary circumstances. The move, part of the Trump administration's efforts to curtail illegal immigration, closes a loophole that had allowed visa holders and visitors to apply for a green card while still in the U.S. Critics of the policy say the long-standing system allowed families to stay together during the lengthy application process. The new method could also make it difficult or impossible for some immigrants who leave the country in hopes of gaining a green card, which grants permanent residence in the U.S. to return. At least 90 people have been killed in a coal mine blast in northern China, according to state media. The gas explosion at the Liushanyu coal mine in Shanxi province is the worst mining disaster in China since 2009. There were 247 workers reportedly on duty when the blast happened at 7:29 p.m. local time on Friday, with more than 100 people reportedly pulled to safety and hundreds of rescuers sent to the site. Chinese President Xi Jinping called for no effort to be spared in efforts to treat the injured and search for survivors, and asked the government to investigate the cause of the blast and hold those responsible to account. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Delhi, with whom the meeting lasted for over an hour. During the meeting, the top U.S. diplomat invited PM Modi to the White House on U.S. President Donald Trump's behalf. PM Modi also posted glimpses of his meeting with Rubio, saying that they discussed regional and global security during the time. Rubio arrived in Kolkata this morning to begin his 4-day India visit, his first trip off to the country since taking office last year. He visited the Mother House, the headquarters of St. Teresa's Missionaries of Charity, before flying to the Indian capital. The top U.S. diplomat will also hold talks with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Sunday and will attend the meeting of the Quad foreign ministers in Delhi on Tuesday. Rubio's visit is expected to serve as a high-level effort to put the partnership back on firmer ground, with both U.S. President Donald Trump and PM Modi seen as personally invested in maintaining momentum in bilateral ties. Now, India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal on Saturday highlighted the key outcomes of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent five-nation visit, while presenting the country's future roadmap for trade and commerce. The minister also spoke about India's economic resilience, record foreign investment figures, and new initiatives aimed at strengthening industrial growth.
India has shown to the world an economy which is self-confident, powering on the path of self-reliance, engaging with the world on equal and fair terms, reflected by the 9 free trade agreements we have entered into, reflected by the very successful visit of Honorable Prime Minister to 5 nations. The government is also continuously coming out with initiatives to support industry, economic growth, and I'm happy to share with you today that another ease of doing business measure is being launched today with the launch of guidelines for the Bhavya scheme, the scheme by which the government of India will be setting up 100 industrial parks across the length and breadth of the country.
Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif arrived in Hangzhou of Zhejiang province, kicking off his official visit to China until May 26th. A spokesperson of the Foreign Ministry in Beijing said that Zarif's visit to China is an important high-level exchange between the two countries, with this year marking the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Pakistan. His trip will take him to the eastern city of Hangzhou, where he will participate in a business forum organized to promote cooperation between Pakistani and Chinese companies, and will attend a ceremony for the exchange of agreements and memorandums of understanding. Zarif will also visit Beijing, where he will meet President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang. We'll take a short breather here again. Stay tuned. Elon Musk's SpaceX has launched its Starship V3 rocket, described as the largest and most powerful rocket ever built, following a delayed test flight from Texas in the United States. The uncrewed rocket lifted off shortly after 17:30 local time on Friday, after an earlier launch attempt was postponed due to a launch tower malfunction. During the flight, Starship deployed around 20 dummy satellites before re-entering Earth's atmosphere and splashing down in the Indian Ocean about an hour after launch, where it exploded as planned. The test flight comes as SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk, prepares for a potential initial public offering that could become the largest in Wall Street history. Time for sports update. Nepal has registered its first victory in the Kava Women's Volleyball Championship. Nepal secured its first win in the tournament by defeating Kyrgyzstan in straight sets, 3-0 in its second match today. The Nepali team dominated the game as it won the first set 25-18, the second set 25-20 and the third set 25-13. Sumitra Regni, who played a crucial role in the victory, was declared player of the match. With the win, Nepal has climbed to second place in Group A with 4 points. India leads the group with 5 points, while Kyrgyzstan is third with 3 points, and winless Maldives remains at the bottom. The victory has strengthened Nepal's chances of reaching the semi-finals. Nepal will advance to the final four if it defeats Maldives tomorrow. Nepal will face the Maldives tomorrow, while the final group stage match between India and Kyrgyzstan will take place on Monday. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories. Nepal government seeks suggestions from public on constitution amendment, asked to reach via email or WhatsApp by 7 days. Severe heat alert issued for 6 districts of Western Nepal. Met Division urges people to adopt precautionary measures. Most people seeking green cards must now apply from outside US, move part of the Trump administration efforts to curtail illegal immigration. At least 90 killed in a coal mine explosion in China. Blast constitutes the country's worst mining disaster in 16 years. Visiting US Secretary of State Rubio meets Indian Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. Visit expected to put India and US partnership on firmer ground. And Nepal defeats Kyrgyzstan in straight sets in the Kava Women's Volleyball Championship, also keeps its chances of reaching semis alive. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavna Casey, and in this edition, we bring you the stories making headlines across the globe, from high-stakes meet to major political developments, geopolitical tensions, cultural celebrations, and remarkable feats. We have all that you need. Let's begin with China, as Beijing hosted two of the world's most influential leaders in a packed week of high-level engagements. China wrapped up a remarkable week of diplomacy as it hosted the leaders of United States and Russia in back-to-back visits that underscored Beijing's growing role at the center of global geopolitical engagement. Beijing emerged this week as the center of the high-stakes global diplomacy, hosting back-to-back visits by United States President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in a rare display of China's growing geopolitical weight amid intensifying global rivalry. Both leaders received elaborate state welcomes from Chinese President Xi Jinping, complete with military honors, ceremonial receptions, and tightly choreographed symbolism. It is said the two visits reflected sharply different strategic objectives and highlighted Beijing's efforts to balance competition with Washington while deepening coordination with Moscow. Trump's visit focused primarily on stabilizing increasingly volatile U.S.-China relations strained by trade disputes, export controls, and tariffs. Chinese officials described the talks as an attempt to build constructive strategic stability, signaling Beijing's push to prevent direct confrontation while preserving room for strategic competition. Putin's trip to Beijing centered on reinforcing China-Russia strategic ties at a time when Moscow remains heavily reliant on Beijing for diplomatic support, trade access, and energy cooperation amid continued Western pressure over the war in Ukraine. Putin's trip concluded with a formal joint statement and the signing of dozens of cooperation agreements covering energy, technology, trade, and media. Russian officials also confirmed renewed momentum behind the long-delayed Power-Up Siberia 2 gas pipeline project aimed at expanding Russian gas exports to China. The visit highlighted China's growing role as Russia's key economic and diplomatic partner amid Western sanctions, while both sides emphasized long-term strategic alignment in a shifting global order. From shifting power equations in Beijing, we now turn to ongoing tensions in the Middle East, where the United States and Iran remain locked in a complex standoff over nuclear concerns and the control of the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. and Iran stuck to opposing stances over Tehran's uranium stockpile and controls on the Strait of Hormuz, although U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said there had been some good signs in talks. U.S. President Donald Trump said the U.S. will eventually recover Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium, which Washington believes is destined for a nuclear weapon, though Tehran says it is intended purely for peaceful purposes. Rubio told reporters that a diplomatic solution would be unfeasible if Tehran implemented a tolling system in the Strait of Hormuz, but he added there had been some progress in talks.
But obviously, we're dealing with a system that itself is a little fractured, so the Iranian system, but that said, there'll be a couple visits. I understand, I believe the Pakistanis will be traveling to Tehran today, so hopefully that'll advance this further. The president's preference is to do a good deal. That's his preference. It's always been his preference.
It is reported, though no deal has been reached, but that gaps have been narrowed, adding that Iran's uranium enrichment and Tehran's control over the Strait of Hormuz remain among the sticking points. Trump also railed against Tehran's intentions to charge fees for use of the strait, where a fifth of the world's oil and natural gas transited before the war. Trump has said he's ready to resume strikes on Iran, which the U.S. and ally Israel first launched in late February, if he does not get the right answers from Iran's leadership. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have warned that renewed attacks would trigger retaliation beyond its reason. We move across the Atlantic, where relations between Washington and Havana have taken a sharp turn as the United States announced criminal charges against former Cuban leader Raul Castro. The U.S. has charged former Cuban leader Raul Castro with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals and other crimes over the 1996 downing of two planes between Cuba and Florida. The case accuses Castro and 5 others in the shooting down of the aircraft belonging to a Cuban-American group Brothers to the Rescue and killing 4 people, including 3 Americans. Castro, now 94 years old, was then the head of the country's armed forces and faced international condemnation over the crash. As the U.S. looks to exert increasing pressure on Cuba's communist rule, it called the charges a political maneuver devoid of any legal foundation. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly sought to exert pressure on Cuba and has openly discussed toppling its communist regime. President Trump also raised the prospect of potential U.S. military action against Cuba, saying he would be happy to act where previous administrations had not.
Cuba, look, it's a failed country. Everybody knows it. They don't have electricity, they don't have money, they don't have really anything, they don't have food. And we're going to help them along, and we're going to help them because the people, because number one, I want to help them, on a humanitarian basis, but we have the Cuban American population, much of it living in Miami and Florida. That's a great group of people, amazing group of people, industrious, they're great Americans. They've wanted this to happen. They want to go back to their country. They want to help their country. I hope they're going to stay here, but they want to go back. They want to invest in their country and, see if they can bring it back. Other presidents have looked at this for 50, 60 years doing something, and it looks like I'll be the one that does it, so we'd be happy to do it. We want to open it up to Cuban Americans where they can go back and help.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said Cuba possesses a national security threat to the United States and the likelihood of a peaceful agreement is not high. The U.S. has imposed fresh sanctions on Cuba and imposed an effective blockade on oil shipments, leading to a fuel crisis there and leading to extended blackouts and food shortages.
We now say focus to global health concerns as World Health Organization declared an Ebola outbreak in Africa a public health emergency of international concern. The announcement comes amid rising pressure from conflicts, climate change and defunding cuts to the agency. The head of the World Health Organization WHO, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, has warned of escalating global health threats, including an Ebola outbreak in Africa, as he opened the 79th World Health Assembly in Geneva, while also highlighting mounting pressures from conflicts, climate change, and defunding cuts to the agency. He also stressed on the danger of the current Ebola outbreak in Africa, which the WHO declared a public health emergency of international concern on Sunday.
And as you know, yesterday, I declared a public health emergency of the international concern over the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo that has already spread to Uganda. I will say more about both outbreaks, and the virus and Ebola, in my address to member states this afternoon, which is the technical report which I will in the afternoon. These two are just the latest crises in our troubled world. From conflicts to economic crisis to climate change and aid cuts, we live in difficult and dangerous and divisive times.
The WHO previously said the outbreak did not meet the criteria of a pandemic emergency, but warned it could be much larger than what has been detected so far. The Health Assembly that brought together delegations from WHO member states sets global health policy and advances the organization's strategic priorities. We now return home to Nepal, where veteran climbers Kamirita Sherpa and Lakpa Sherpa have broken their own records as the 2026 spring climbing season gets underway, marked by historic achievements and a strong influx of international mountaineers attempting peaks including the Mount Everest. The 2026 spring climbing season officially began after a 14-member rope-fixing team reached the summit of Mount Everest, successfully opening the route for hundreds of waiting mountaineers. Nepal's officials confirmed that the summit route from the south side was fixed on May 13 after weeks of delays caused by unstable ice formations in Khumbu Icefall, allowing hundreds of climbers to begin summit pushes towards the world's highest peak. The season has also highlighted the continuing dominance of Sherpa climbers. Kamirita Sherpa, known as the Everest Man, broke his own record set last year with a 30-second climb, and the other, known as the Mountain Queen, broke her own women's record with an 11th summit. The record climbs came during a busy summit window in which hundreds of climbers reached the peak under favorable weather conditions. The season has also renewed attention on Everest traffic management as large numbers of guided expeditions and support teams. From the peaks of Everest, we now move to developments in South Asia, where India is pushing ahead with large-scale infrastructure expansion in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands amid environmental concerns and local opposition over land acquisition and rehabilitation terms.
India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands, located in the southern reaches of the Bay of Bengal near Indonesia and Thailand, are emerging as a strategically significant maritime hub as the government advances a large-scale infrastructure expansion plan aimed at boosting regional connectivity and economic influence in the Indo-Pacific. The Union territory, comprising more than 830 islands, of which only around 38 are permanently inhabited, is divided into the Andaman and Nicobar groups and occupies a critical position between the Andaman Sea and the eastern Indian Ocean along key international shipping routes. As part of this push, construction activity is underway on a remote island in the archipelago, where bulldozers are clearing pristine forests to make way for a proposed $9 billion megaport, airport and urban settlement. The project is intended to strengthen India's maritime infrastructure and is widely viewed as a strategic counterweight to China's expanding investments across the Indian Ocean region. However, the development has sparked local opposition over environmental concerns and compensation issues. Residents have criticized the relocation terms with affected individuals, saying their lives feel completely destroyed and that the land compensation is inadequate compared to what is being taken.
We now turn to a very different scene in the Middle East, where thousands of couples gathered in Tehran for a large-scale mass wedding ceremony.
A mass wedding event was held in Tehran amid rising regional tensions, combining traditional marriage ceremonies with strong patriotic displays. The program, called Sacrifice for Iran, brought together around 1,000 couples linked to the state-backed Jan Fada initiative. Iranian authorities organized simultaneous ceremonies across multiple locations in Tehran on Monday evening, including a gathering for 110 couples at Imam Hossein Square. State-affiliated media promoted the event as the celebration of the Celestials, featuring national flags, portraits, and symbolic displays. Officials presented the campaign as evidence of strong public support for the government. However, the initiative also faced criticism online, with skeptics questioning participation figures and alleging that the program's statistics were inflated.
We shift to a more unusual story from South Asia, where an unexpected internet sensation has emerged in Bangladesh as a rare albino buffalo has gone viral online, drawing crowds and widespread attention for its uncanny resemblance and unusual appearance. The 700-kilogram buffalo owned by Bangladesh's farmer Ziauddin Mrida has gained public interest due to its unusual appearance, particularly its long flowing coat of hair, which is rare among domestic buffalo breeds in the region. The animal was nicknamed Donald Trump by a family member, a reference to its distinctive hairstyle that resembles the US president's signature look. The buffalo quickly became a short-term local sensation, with visitors arriving in increasingly large numbers to take photographs and share content across social media platforms. Local residents describe the scene as unusual, with a steady foot traffic to the farm as curiosity about the animal spread beyond the immediate community. Despite the widespread interest, the buffalo is expected to be sacrificed as part of traditional practices in the coming days, according to its owner. Now to Japan. At the Sanza Matsuri festival, traditional irezumi tattoos, still viewed with caution, were displayed in public as tattooed participants take part in the celebrations. Crowds gathered in Tokyo over the weekend for the annual Sanza Matsuri festival, one of Japan's largest and most prominent Shinto celebrations, where participants and visitors filled the streets in a display of traditional culture, processions, and portable shrine parades. The festival is also notable for being one of few occasions in Japan where irezumi traditional tattoos are openly visible, despite their continued social sensitivity in parts of the country due to long-standing associations with organized crime. While attitudes towards tattoos have gradually softened among younger generations and international visitors, they remain restricted in some public spaces such as baths and gyms. The Sanjay Matsuri, however, provides a rare setting where tattooed participants can openly take part in celebrations, reflecting the complex balance between cultural heritage and modern social perceptions in Japan. From cultural celebrations in Japan, we now move to the natural world in Southeast Asia, where Vietnam's forests are in full seasonal bloom with thousands of butterflies on a display.
Cuc Phuong National Park in Vietnam entered its peak butterfly season in April and May, when hundreds of species filled the forest and created a vibrant natural display. The seasonal phenomenon attracted around 3,000 to 5,000 visitors daily as butterflies gathered along humid and swampy forest trails during their breeding cycle. Forest rangers explained that the insects were drawn to mineral-rich swamp areas that supported their feeding habits. They say the diversity of plant life directly supports the large variety of butterfly species. Officials also noted that the mass appearance of butterflies reflected strong biodiversity and healthy ecological balance within one of Vietnam's oldest protected forests.
From nature's spectacle in Vietnam, we shift to human strength and endurance in Myanmar, where regional athletes competed at a major bodybuilding championship in Yangon. 39 bodybuilders competed in the 20th Southeast Asian Bodybuilding and Physique Sports Championship held in Myanmar as regional athletes gathered for one of the sport's premier competitions in the region. The 5-day championship held at the Myanmar Convention Center brought together elite competitors from 8 countries across Southeast Asia. Athletes contested in multiple categories, including various height, weight, and symmetry divisions that highlight both strength and overall physique standards. Organizers say the event aims to promote regional sporting excellence and strengthen competitive bodybuilding in Southeast Asia, while providing a platform for athletes to showcase training discipline, conditioning, and performance on an international stage. The championship is also expected to draw growing spectator interest, reflecting the rising popularity of fitness and physique sports across the region. We moved to South Korea, where thousands of participants illuminated the streets of Seoul in a vibrant lantern festival celebrating the Buddhist traditions. Thousands of monks and participants marched through the streets of the South Korean capital carrying colorful lanterns during the annual Lotus Lantern Festival honoring Lord Buddha's birthday. The illuminated procession featured traditional performances, temple groups, and cultural displays, drawing large crowds of residents and tourists who gathered along major city routes to witness the event. The festival is considered one of the most important Buddhist cultural celebrations in South Korea. Participants said the atmosphere reflected a deep sense of peace and community spirit, with lanterns symbolizing hope, wisdom, and enlightenment. Organizers noted that temples across the country took part in celebrations continuing centuries-old traditions linked to Korean Buddhism. The streets of Seoul were transformed into a vibrant sea of light as the Lotus Lantern Festival continued late into the evening, with thousands joining the procession in a shared display of devotion and cultural pride. Officials said the festival also plays an important role in promoting cultural tourism, attracting international visitors, and strengthening awareness of Korea's Buddhist heritage. Many attendees described the event as both spiritual and festive, saying it offered a rare moment of unity in the heart of the capital. From cultural celebrations in Asia, we head to Europe, where music and performance took center stage at the grand finale of the Eurovision Song Contest, owned by Bulgaria's singer, who secured first place after a closely contested vote involving 25 countries.
Bulgarian singer Dara has won the 70th edition of the Eurovision Song Contest, defeating competitors from 24 other countries to claim the title in one of the world's biggest live televised music events. Dara was not initially considered among the front-runners ahead the grand final, but her momentum grew rapidly during Eurovision as audiences and critics responded positively to her energetic stage presence and elaborate choreography. Her upbeat dance anthem, Bangaranga, became a crowd favorite, with its catchy rhythm and visually striking performance helping secure strong support from both juries and viewers across Europe. The Bulgarian singer's victory marks a major achievement for Bulgaria premiere on the Eurovision stage and sparked celebrations among fans following the announcement of the final results. The contest this year featured a mix of ballads, pop anthems, and experimental performances, attracting millions of viewers worldwide. Israel finished in second place after a closely contested vote, while several other favorites fell short despite strong expectations heading into the final. Organizers described the anniversary edition of Eurovision as one of the most competitive and widely watched contests in recent years, highlighting the event's continuing global popularity and cultural influence.
With this, we come to the end of this episode of The World This Week. We shall see you again next week with a new episode, and we hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. Also, do follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com, our social media handles, as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
This is where art meets thought. Stories we watch and stories that watch us back. Stories that linger not just in the mind, but in that quiet, unspoken space of being human. Welcome to Creative Forum, where art is experienced, not just discussed. I'm Shivani Thapa Bosniak, and from the crossroads of Kathmandu, we're joined in by two extraordinary voices. One from Iran and the other guest from China. Civilizations that have 4 centuries now shaped the way humanity tells its stories. From the poetic soul of Persian traditions to the philosophical depth of Chinese thought, these are cultures where storytelling was never merely expression, but reflection, memory, and of course meaning. Professor Sun Zhan, Chinese media scholar exploring global storytelling, and our other guest, Mojtaba Bahadori, an Iranian filmmaker who travels the world finding humanity in the quietest moments of life. Both are in town as jury members of the Nepal International Film Festival 2026. Welcome to Kathmandu to both of you.
Hello to everyone. Hello to Nepal, to Nepalese people, to this wonderful, colorful, amazing culture that I'm very, very happy to be here and very excited actually. I had a chance to go out last days and I was so impressed by everything. People, they are praying in the street, they are moving around, full of the handicraft, full of people, full of movement. It's like a cinema. It's like a total cinema. Very happy to be here.
Nepali people give me, including the smile, the delicious food, and the very lovely students and the friends here.
Just to get started, I'm so curious to know, because both of you travel the world with the great work that you do and the great work that you carry around. Mustafa, let me turn to you. Why did you pick storytelling?
Storytelling, I think, is a part of our culture as Iranian. So poetry and storytelling is a part of Iranian culture, and we're born with that. I feel like all the Iranians, they're born to be a poet or read poetry and tell a story through their poetry. In the opening of the festival, there was the director of Sholay. You remember?
Ramesh Sippy, right?
Yes. I was so surprised because I remember I was a child in Shiraz. I was born in Shiraz. I grew up in the south of Iran. And it was forbidden to watch foreign films, as it still is a lot of things forbidden in Iran. So people, they would hide video VHS around in a city, and we found a video VHS of the Sholay. It was one of the first films I watched in my life. I never will forget the scene of the Sardevi.
Hema Malini.
Yeah, the lady, she's dancing on
the Basanti girl, right?
Yeah, in the broken glasses, yeah.
Yes.
It was so impressive how she can do that. Only in cinema you can have those scenes that people, they dance on broken glasses. Yeah, I think the story started by watching films in a very early age. Forbidden films, like anything is not Iranian or is not about Islamic culture, yeah. Which actually they structured our character. When I was a teenager, my father bought me a VHS camera, and I started to film things around of myself. I had only one video cassette, so I would film over and over that cassette. You remember, we could put it back or turn it back, and then
the cassette tape.
Yeah,
right,
cassette tape. Yeah, so I will film one thing and then I would watch it several times, and then I didn't have any other film, so I would film it again on top of that. That started by that and theater. I started to write theater piece when I was 13. Always very, very influenced by things around of me, especially in the Persian culture.
Really amusing to know that your childhood or maybe your growing years were so much similar to that of us here in this side of the world, right? Pretty much amusing. How about China, Professor Shun? Why communications? Why did you even choose to come to this field?
I found, because China is a very large country, there are a lot of people living different places. 30 years ago, at that time, not everybody can speak in Mandarin, even at that time. And we have a lot of mineral races there. But now the things has been changing better and better day by day. And after I got my PhD, I became a lecturer, associate professor, and a professor in my university. I am the head of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. And I love mass communication because I got a PhD for mass communication, and later I choose my research about social media and online media, because my university focuses on high-tech knowledge and the computer science, AI technology as well. We have a lot of cooperation between different mayors, and I'm so interested in cross-cultural communication. When I came to Nepal 10 years ago, I I was addicted by this country, by Nepali people. I love this country very much. So that's the starting point of my research about cross-culture communication. And I do appreciate everything.
It's so beautiful to see how Professor Jan enjoys Nepal, right? So both of you are here for NEF, and the one common thing that I really am curious about is you both come from civilizations where storytelling is ancient, it's layered, and it's deeply philosophical, right? And I wonder, when you engage with cinema today or filmmaking today, do you feel you are creating something new, or you're continuing something that has always existed in your cultures?
I think originality is not very important in a storytelling. Your story shouldn't be original, it should be truth. It should be deep and should be personal. So I don't want to tell original stories. I don't try for that. I try to say truth, or to say the stories that is close to my heart, you know. So I think in the end we are repeating the same story of the human being, yeah? But just we have different approach because we have different experience, or we experience the life differently.
Yes.
And like talking about love, you know, so many poetry about love, but they're all different because they have different approach to love. You know, they see the love in different things, or they try to explore it differently in each of them. I think the storytelling in a film also is the same. Actually, in a jury, as a jury, we have a section that we have to say how original is the film. And this is one of the sections I like the less because that's not really important to me. But for me, is what is the impact of the film? You know, this is a part of the jury judge that verdict that I give more importance to it. What was the impact of that film on me as an audience, as a person just was watching it, and also about that, you know, the technical part is very important sometimes to make things impactful, like the sounds, the image, but still is less important than the subject and how we approach the subject. What we are telling, what's the story that we want to tell to our audience. So yeah, I think originality is not very important for me. But being true, yes.
Do you see films as an extension of that, a Persian artistic tradition where meaning is, often found when it is left unsaid? I mean, does your work more focus on the silences between the words and the sounds?
This is what we say in music. A note doesn't have a sense if there is no silence between notes. If you put two notes without silence in a continuity, it's like. But if you do it, there's a silence. So the music burns through the silence. I think the story also burns after the silence is established in a story. So we have this culture of the silence in Iranian cinema, like big names that many people they know, and I see also kind of Nepalese young filmmakers. They're quite familiar to the Iranian cinema. We have a lot of silence in Iranian cinema because we need that to reflect about what we hear. You know, we hear a sentence, then we have to listen to that inside of us also. So yeah, like my last film that it got the Everest Award here in NIF last year is full of silence because it's a story of a person who questions if the nature creates so perfectly in its imperfection, me as an artist, what I can create that is better than nature. Why we are creating actually? So the answer is because we need to make sense for our life. Yeah. So I see the storytelling and artistic practice as a need for making sense to our life and also presenting a sense to other people, a proposal to other people. Okay, we can see the life in this way also.
From what I understand, you were born and raised in Iran,
yes.
And then later you shifted base to France, where much of your career has really, expanded and extended. So how has France changed you as a filmmaker?
I think France didn't change me, but what it changed me is the people that they listen to your story. And these people, maybe you can find them in China, in Nepal, in France. So I think I was lucky to be surrounded by people that they are interested in a story that I want to tell. And of course, I'm still very, very attached to the Iranian storytelling, you know. Still, like in my film On Melting Snow, the main story comes from the poetry of the Rumi. So if we are cut from the origin, what will happen to us? Yeah? We will always go back to the origin, especially when we grow. We say, okay, I have to look back who I am. Yeah? The idea of who I am comes from the poetry of the Persian poetry of the Rumi. But then I shoot it in Iceland, partly in Belgium, and partly in North Africa, because I was looking for a very minimalist landscape. So I went to find those landscapes in different places in the world, from the Atlantic, from the north to the south of the planet. I would say French culture and cinema is very open to new voices, is very generous in listening, and I'm very lucky, I think, to be able to be part of that culture for such a long time. Yeah.
Chinese philosophy also has explored, long explored, like ideas of, ideals of balance, harmony, and of course, relationship between individuals and the collective, right? So how do these deeper cultural ideas there shape the ways stories are told?
China has long story in this world, and we have a bunch of philosophers of different sides, and it's related to our mind, to our heart, and to the relations between the families or with the others. And it is very important to keep our mind calm and peaceful. So that's why Chinese people always think balance is the most important thing in our life. And you're right, we think independent is related to your freedom as well. So we are so independent in this world, and we treat the others peacefully. That's why if you can understand that, so you can understand Chinese.
Mostaba, when we speak of Iranian cinema or films, right, it's almost impossible not to think of certain stillness, a certain honesty, right, a way of seeing that both feels so simple and at the same time profoundly layered. And in many ways, that language has certainly been shaped by masters like Abbas Kiarostami, whose classes you are so privileged to have attended. And I'm really curious, besides what he taught you about cinema, what has changed in you in a way that you see the world under his guidance?
I remember the first time I had chance to listen to him directly. He just came back from Africa, and where he made ABC Africa. It was just the beginning of the digital camera, and there was a handycam. You remember the handycam with the small films, yeah? So he asked his producer that is it possible to go to Africa to just see the location, to find the location where I can shoot my film. And they said, okay. So he went there with the two other person, and they started to film kids in an abandoned school, like in a school for kids. And the kids, they was interacting with the camera, those very teenagers. He went back, and he decided to make the film just with the rush that he filmed with his handycam. So no need to take a big camera or whatever. He told us something. He said, if you have a story to tell, don't wait for big cameras, for equipment and those kind of things. Just do it. If you have something to tell, just do it. Why you're waiting? What makes you wait so long, And this is what I saw also in the Nepalese film. I watched, I think, over 30 Nepalese film in a section that I was part of it. And I see there is a lot of courageous film that they are telling their story with, the minimum technical equipment, and that makes me so happy, because you can keep it as an idea and wait for the perfect situation, and sometimes never happens. But you can also take a little camera with your friends and just film your grandmother, I don't know, your sister, the people in your village, and tell the story that is important to you. So I'm very happy to see that in a Nepalese film, really. I'm very impressed by that. And also, I think, for me, the first thing I learned from Abbas Kiarostami is, just do it. Don't wait for the perfect situation. because sometimes never you will have it. Just do it.
Thoughts of a true creator, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. And even in your work, we can see a lot of simplicity of the similar kind, inspired maybe by Abbas Kiarostami. So is minimalism for you, or Shaba, an aesthetic choice, or is it a philosophical one?
I think if you want to emphasize one subject, you need to decide what you don't want to talk about it, right? It's like in a conversation, yeah? If I want to talk about the human condition in a certain place, why I have to talk about the things that is not connected to human condition? So I think in the end, for being more precise, you need to be minimalist. You need to choose in the end. And, you know, I think in the end, for having clear mind also, you need to, what we do in a meditation, right? We try to just concentrate on our respiration, concentrate on the minimum that calls existence, right? I think the film for me also is the same. If I want to talk about the subject, I would like to make it just that, you know, put it there like a good chef cuisine, yeah? You put this little things there, then when you eat it, you feel it, you know. This is the idea.
Wow. I can listen to you like the entire day. It's interesting, right? This idea of saying more, you know, with less, you know, of trusting the audience, right?
Yes.
The minimalist approach in filmmaking, it's the purity with which that is portrayed is so beautiful to any aspirant or people who love real film and drama. Professor Zan, from your perspective as a media scholar, in today's very fast and very content-driven world, is there still space for this kind of quiet and very contemplative film?
Yes, and I think the how to say the quiet is a kind of power because it's from our mind. I do agree. Mashtaba says the truth is the most important thing in this world, even including the films, the fiction films, both fiction films and documentary films. And this year, I bring Xizang Panorama to Nepal again, and this is a second Xizang Panorama. And last year, I'm a jury and organizer, and this year I am a director as well. And because we listened to our audiences here last year, I found I should present a new Xizang to our audiences, tell the world what's the truth in Xizang, how developed it is now. Because Xizang is a modern society, it has a high-speed train, bullet trains there. It has a lot of high-speed road, highways there, and the environment is still very good. We protect our environment very well in Xizang. We protected the lakes, the mountains, and the animals there. There is a story about a slow leopard. It will screen this afternoon. That's about how we deal with the relationship between the protected environment and the people's financial right. Because a slow leopard will go to the local people's house, around the house. The slow leopard ate the sheep. How can we deal with that? Because according to our policy, we have the compensation. The people can get the money back from the government, but still the local people felt angry about the sheep's death, something like that. And from Nepal to China, we have the similar situation about the environment protection. And we also invited 9 young persons from 6 countries, from United States, Russia, Morocco, Italy, Cambodia, and Nepal. The 9 people visited Xizang this January, so we shoot a short documentary film about their visiting. They went to they experienced the new electronic cars, electronic vans. They have the test driving on the highway, and they also took the bullet train, and they went to the electricity power station and see all the development there. And they also experienced the bubble tea with other young generation, because in past times, Xizang people enjoy the butter tea with salt, but it's salty. But nowadays, more people like sweet butter tea, and some people also enjoy the sweet bubble tea. That's very interesting, because the people there are having a new and modern life right now, and the culture and the philosophy is not stopped by the history, and every day is new, and I think the tradition is also on the way day by day.
So you mean to say that despite all the high-speed content
Yes.
trend that is ongoing, still the real-life experience is real and it's more important?
Yes.
Right? And why did you, besides promotion, Professor San, why did you choose to come back with the Xizang panorama to Nepal, to Nepal?
Yeah, Xizang panorama is very important because we releasing 6 films every year about Xizang, and Xizang is a border part between Nepal and China, and between the Himalaya regions and Himalaya mountains. We are really like the families and brothers. We are relatives and the neighbors. That's very important for us to know each other. And there are some traditional and cultural aspects are the same between our Xizang culture and the Nepali culture. So we want to, approach the communication between the people in 2 countries.
Mustafa, the same question to you. How is the current trend of media, especially on the consumption side, where they're so fascinated into high speed and scandalized contents, affected you as a filmmaker, or has it even affected you?
Yeah, what Professor says is very, very right. The culture is not an object that doesn't move. It's something that constantly changes and is a part of this, heritage. The heritage is made every day. And what I see also, go back to the Nepalese film, I see like there is this really nationalism and this strong interest and respect for Nepalese culture via like Nepalese filmmaker, but in the same time, in a lot of films they try to change things, like the habits that exist in the families, the old culture that is not good for, So I think they are making culture by respecting their own culture. This is a constant change. The culture is born every single day, yeah? Yes. So I think also the speed, this fast culture is a part of the culture, yeah? The things going fast. But back to minimalism, you have to choose what do you want, yeah? So do you want to be constantly exposed by this fast world, or you decide to go with your own speed in the road that you choose to be in it, right? I'm like, it's very easy to be lost, to lose yourself, your mind in this fast world. I think it's necessary to have different type of cinema. I don't think one cinema is cinema and the rest is not cinema. Everything is cinema, every different style of the cinema. But some people, they like this one and some the other one, and it's fine, totally fine. Yeah, I think, that this very slow cinema is like a reading roman in old time, like a War and Peace of Tolstoy. It's like I tried to read it like maybe 20 times in my life. Always I went until the half, I didn't finish it, So it's the time that, there was in North Russia, it was cold and there was no internet, you couldn't go out. There was a snow until here behind of your door. You could read books like this, but today it's more difficult to read books like 5 Overture. So I think by your situation, you have to choose your speed also, And it shouldn't be one thing and tomorrow not, You can change. It's fine to change. It's very good to change. We have to be open to change. But my own cinema is a cinema that is impactful and is making me to think and brings me new question. You know, I watched this film yesterday in opening, the Iranian film. It's a wonderful film. Yes. It's about a man who wants to find a laptop for his daughter to be able to finalize her animation film. You know, two different words, but it's about a computer, about creating alone in your own room. So this is an impactful film. I love it, and it's quite maybe a bit fast for me, but still, I love it. It's impactful.
So let's talk about. Let's continue talking about NIF, which brings you all to Kathmandu, right? So this place for many, as we have perceived from the feedbacks that we've been receiving from a long time, people in many ways find so many stories unfolding here, right? So, but you are both creative people in communications and filmmaking. So as you arrived here, not as tourists, but as storytellers, what was that thing that you took note of that perhaps others might have overlooked?
In the films?
No, in Kathmandu.
Right? I didn't still have so much chance to, you know, to discover the city. But, you know, it's a very kind and very attentive culture. It's a culture to make you comfortable and welcome you. I felt it since the first day I arrived here. And also, everyone does what they can to find a solution if there is a problem. So I love that. And I really, yesterday for opening, we was crossing this shopping mall. And I was seeing there is, you know, while I was going up, there was some people, they were selling sunglasses, but they were watching in their YouTube a video of dance, and I was like so amazing. I'm going for opening of the festival of the country, and I see the real life while I'm in stairs. So it's a very true festival, true people, and the way they do it is very true, and I love that.
And how about the festival?
Festivals, films, you know, so far what I watched, I'm impressed. I think, you know, last year when my film got the awards, when I couldn't be here, still I didn't have a clear idea about Nepali cinema. But I was very happy to have an award called Everest Award. That was the name of the award that I received last year. And I was like, I definitely have to, you know, find the opportunity to go there. And when they invited me as a jury, I was, you know, I didn't hesitate even for a second. And the film, the Nepalese film, in particular, young Nepalese young filmmakers, they have so much things to say, and they have so much things to change respectfully toward their own culture. And we see that through the film. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to see the films. It's very impactful.
Professor Jeanne, for you, Nepal, Kathmandu is like second home, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, like, does Kathmandu feel familiar to you, or does it surprise you every time you come back?
Yeah, actually, every time Kathmandu surprised me a lot. And in recent years, I came back again and again, and I saw the changes by my own eyes. And every time I came back, I found the streets are cleaner and cleaner. And I think the Nepali economy is raising up year by year. That's the happiest thing to me. And the Nepali friends are so kind and friendly, especially the common person on the street. Most of them are very friendly to you. Some kids will say hello to you, and some says, including the girls and boys. And every time I was touched by some flowers and plants, and then because every time I came here in different seasons, I saw different flowers. Sometimes I was touched by the flowers blossom in the corner or on the street or just on the window. I think that's the happiness about Nepali's common person's life, daily life, and I also very grateful for the changes of the cafeteria. And here we can experience different kind of foods, including Korean cuisine, Japanese cuisine, Italian cuisine, yes, Chinese, some snacks here, and Chinese noodles are popular here. And the prices are not expensive. The local young people tell me they love Chinese cuisine, especially from my hometown. I was born in Chongqing, a mountain city in China.
That amazing city that we see, right, on all those videos.
Yes, I showed you before, and it is called AD Digital City. It's amazing, and one day I hope you to visit there. I think, according to my opinion, Nepal will getting better, will be better and better in the future. Yeah, and the young generation, their how to say, their appearance is really active. Yeah, I like it.
Right, thank you. So before, before we wrap this up, there is one section where I get to ask you quick questions, and I request, you to give me very quick answers, maybe a word or just something that comes, into your mind right away.
Silence is accepted.
Sorry. I wish not. All right. So the first one is one film that made you feel deeply human, Moshtaba.
A Man Without Past after Aki Kaurismäki.
Is this an Iranian film?
No, it's a Finnish film.
Finnish
from Finland. Yeah.
Wow. How about you, Professor Jun?
A Snow Leopard.
The Snow Leopard. Okay. Wow. Silence in cinema or music?
Silence.
Silence.
Silence. A story you will carry with you from Kathmandu?
Being grateful.
People.
Grace. Yeah.
Wow.
Love story.
Wow. Okay. One word for Kathmandu.
The smell of oud is not one word, but the smell of this, what they turn on in a praying, the oud.
The incense. The incense.
Yeah, the smell of incense. Yeah.
Joyful.
Joyful. All right. Story first or image first?
A story.
Story.
How do you see cinema today? Overwhelming or evolving?
Evolving.
One thing young filmmakers should hold on to?
Keep doing it. Yeah.
Don't stop.
Don't stop, yeah.
AI technology.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your valuable time, for taking the time to come over to NTV World Studios and being there at NIF. And yes, do continue your great job and keep inspiring us all the way.
Thank you very much for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you. So much. It's our great honor. Yeah, thank you.
In the quiet between the poetic silence and the academic vision that I talked about, the two valuable voices that we had with us here in our studios, we really found a shared heartbeat, even among themselves. For the shadows of Tehran to the lights of Kathmandu, we are certainly reminded that while the world may break, the story remains whole. Thank you for being part of this Creative Forum episode, and until next time, this is Shivani Thapa, Busnet, signing off. Goodbye.
Bagmati province boasts the federal capital Kathmandu, which is the center of attraction. Kathmandu Valley is a tourism hub of Nepal, as it has the only operational international airport of the country. Kathmandu is also the only entry point for those reaching Nepal by air. Bagmati province is also the place with the most tourist destinations and tourism-related activities. This province offers several attractions for both domestic and foreign tourists. Today, we take you to some of the beautiful destinations of Bagmati province, which is rich in culture and heritages. The capital of Nepal, the place with most tourist destinations, major destination for both domestic and foreign tourists. Province rich in culture and heritages. It is a beautiful valley of 3 districts, Kathmandu, Bhaktapur and Lalitpur. The valley offers best environmental conditions. The region is also considered exceptional in terms of historical, cultural and natural artifacts and political history. Let us visit first Pashupatinath, which is popular around the world among Hindu pilgrims. This is Pashupatinath temple. Lord Pashupatinath is the real name of Lord Shiva. Pashupatinath temple and the premises have long been the center of faith of Hindus around the world. It is one of the 7 World Heritage Sites in Kathmandu Valley. We now take you to another significant heritage in the valley, which is Swayambhunath. A popular monastery located in the west of Kathmandu. Thousands of tourists reach Swayambhunath every day. Foreign tourists who reach Kathmandu do not miss out on Swayambhunath. While domestic visitors flock to this heritage on holidays. Swayambhunath is one of the preferred destinations of tourists in Kathmandu. Another heritage is Bodhanath. Bodhanath is the center of faith for Buddhists. This is the largest hemispherical stupa of Nepal. The monastery is built on massive 3 layers. Heritage has become a preferred destination for both domestic and foreign tourists. Let's now go to Basantapur Darbar Square of Malla era in Kathmandu. This place can be a significant destination for those with an interest of study and research of history and handicrafts of the Malla era. This heritage holds a unique significance because of its location in the heart of Kathmandu with a lot of human movement. Basantapur Darbar Square draws both domestic and foreign tourists alike. Moving on, we head to Bhaktapur, which is rich in Newari culture. Bhaktapur Darbar Square is considered significant not only for its history, but also for its culture, art and handicrafts. With the objective of promoting nighttime tourism in Kirtipur, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur. Yes, Bhaktapur is the smallest district of Nepal. However, it is the richest in terms of heritages. If you reach Bhaktapur but do not make it to Changunarayan, that would leave your trip incomplete. We are now taking you to Changunarayan temple to complete your Bhaktapur visit. This temple, which is located just 6 kilometers north of Bhaktapur city, is not only significant for its historic, artistic and religious aspects, but also for tourism. This temple, which is considered the oldest in the valley, was listed in UNESCO's World Heritage Sites in 1969. We now move on to Lalitpur, also known as Patan. Of the popular three cities of Kathmandu Valley, Patan is considered the oldest. Patan Darbar Square is located in this city. Extraordinary works of Newari art and craft can be seen in this region, which has been decorated with cultural heritages since the 17th century. Such richness tends to draw the tourists. Locals in Kathmandu might have visited all destinations around the city. However, these destinations could be new to foreign tourists and those from outside the valley. These are a few destinations for hiking around Kathmandu for a brief escape from the city. Let us now go to a few tourist destinations near Kathmandu for a couple of nights. Sauraha is one of the major tourist destinations of Nepal. It is considered the best destination for wildlife tourism. The main objective of reaching Sauraha is to visit the Chitwan National Park. Elephant ride, jeep safari and jungle walk are the ways to visit the national park. Most of the tourists find elephant ride the most interesting. Boating must not be missed in Sauraha. Watching the crocodiles in their leisure at the Rapti river bank is a pleasing feeling. Birds from up to Siberia can be seen during winter. A view of the sunset from the bank of Rapti river, a ride in horse, an ox cart, and Sauraha market area are other attractions of this place. Tharu dance and culture further entertain the tourists. One of the most popular trekking trails of the world, Langtang National Park, lies in Bagmati province. Let's have a look at the specialities and attractions of Langtang. Langtang, which spreads across 6,440 meters in Sindhupalchok, Nuakot and Rasua districts, is the first national park of the mountainous region. National park includes popular mountainous valley Langtang, Kinjing and the pilgrimage site of Gosaikunda. Separate trails lead up to Gosaikunda and Langtang Valley inside the Langtang National Park. Rare species of red panda, snow leopards and wild dogs among other animals can be seen during treks in the region. The range of mountains, wild animals, bird watching, valleys and Gosaikunda, among other water bodies, are the major attractions of Langtang. Ruby Valley. Ruby Valley near Langtang is a new tourist destination. Ruby Valley in Dhading district is the closest destination to Kathmandu for trekking. Ruby is a precious stone. The valley is named Ruby Valley as precious stones including ruby and quartz are found here. Wild animals at the verge of extinction, including red panda, mountainous range, lakes, beautiful settlements, yak, traditional cattle rearing. Votekosi and Trisuli river rafting. Rafting has lately been gaining popularity among tourists. The adventure sports, which previously was popular only among foreigners, is now drawing the local tourists as well. Trisuli and Votekosi rivers that are close to Kathmandu are two popular destinations for rafting in Bagmati province. Let us first explore Votekosi. Whitewater rafting at Votekosi river is included among the 10 best adventure destinations for rafting in the world. Votekosi, which is well facilitated with food and accommodation, can be a great destination for rafting and other adventure sports. Rafting at Trisuli river is popular among domestic tourists, as the location can be reached in an hour from Kathmandu. This is where most tourists go for rafting in Nepal. Rafting packages of Votekosi and Trisuli are appropriate for those who want to spend some good time for a few days. Alongside trekking, jungle safari, rafting, city charm and natural sceneries, Bagmati province is equally a good tourist destination for religious tourism. Bagmati province is also popular for religious tourism. There are some major religious shrines in the province. Bhimeshwar of Dolakha is one of the most popular religious destinations of the country. Based on the legends, any bad omens in the country are signaled by the statue of Bhimeshwar. Kalinchok has increasingly become the first preference of tourists in recent time. With the operation of cable car in Kalinchok now, it has increased the attraction for tourists. There is a religious belief that wishes are fulfilled after visiting Kalimchok deity. Gosaikunda, located in Rashwa district, which shares border with Tibet over China, is a very important religious and tourist destination. Religious fairs are held twice a year in Gosaikunda during Dasara and Janai Purnima. This is a great destination for those who prefer trekking and are of spiritual nature. Devghat Dham, along the border of Chitwan and Tanho, is a well-established religious place among Hindus. Many followers reach this place on the day of Mange Sankranti. This is a popular religious destination among elderly people. There are immense possibilities of tourism in Bagmati province. There are no doubts on tourism aiding in prosperity of the province. However, it is imperative to promote domestic tourism alongside prioritizing foreign tourists. Bagmati province is ahead of other provinces in regards to tourism infrastructures. Most of the tourist destinations are linked by road networks, while there are airway services in many others to reach in a short period of time. Sound arrangements of hotels and homestays have been made for food and accommodation. Therefore, let us travel the country to keep the economy moving and achieve prosperity.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Welcome to the new episode of The Hinterlands on NTV World. This weekly show brings together stories from the hinterlands of Nepal, takes you beyond the cities and the highways into the heart of Nepal's rural landscapes. I am Rosina Rai and we will be leading you into this journey every week. First up, we head to Western Nepal's Bardia National Park, home to one of the country's largest tiger populations. The park has launched a groundbreaking census of tiger prey species as part of ongoing wildlife conservation efforts. Authorities say the initiative will help determine whether the park has sufficient food resources to sustain its growing tiger population while maintaining ecological balance. Let's begin with this report.
Bardia National Park has initiated a census of tiger prey species, a critical step toward understanding the food chain dynamics that support one of Nepal's most significant tiger habitats. The census, launched on 12th May, is being conducted alongside the ongoing tiger census that began on 23rd January this year. Conservation experts believe that a healthy prey base is backbone of any thriving tiger population, and the study sets out to measure exactly that.
Tiger सरेपछि लगतै प्रेमेश गरेपछि अब टाइगरको चाहिँ आहार प्रजातिहरू अब के कति मात्रामा छन् र त्यो अब त्यसको खाद्य चक्र चाहिँ के कस्तो अवस्थामा छ भन्ने कुरो त्यसले हामीलाई देखाउँछ त्यो उद्देश्य त्यो थाहा पाउनुको लागि पनि गरिएको हो
According to 2022 census data, Bardia's tiger population had reached 125, a remarkable conservation success story. A tiger census is conducted every 4 years in the park, and the current cycle has now expanded its scope to include prey species monitoring, and for the first time it is getting an exposure. Leading this effort is a dedicated team comprising park staff, personnel from the Nepali Army and National Nature Conservation Fund Bardia, and members of the Anti-Poaching Youth Mobilization Group. To navigate the park's diverse terrain, the census team has deployed 5 elephants, 4 motorcycles and 31 trained personnel conducting ground surveys on foot, by motorcycle and 8 top elephants depending on the landscape.
29 गतेबाट सुरु गरेर गैंडा मचान अनि अर्को चाहिँ डल्ला पोस्टमा अर्को क्याम्प चाहिँ बसेछ अनि हाम्रो चाहिँ गैंडा मचान हुँदै अहिले लगुन आइपुगेछौँ हामीले लगभग अब मेन त हामी चित्तल देखिरहेछौँ त्यसपछि लगुनाहरू त्यसपछि जराए पनि देख्यौँ कुनै कुनै साथीहरूले चाहिँ गैंडाहरू पनि भेटाछन् अब यसै जाँदाखेरि त बाघहरू पनि भेटाछन्
Conservation workers emphasize that tracking prey availability is every bit as vital as counting tigers. Without any adequate prey base, animals such as deer, wild boar, and others, tigers are forced out of their natural habitat and into human settlements, intensifying human-wildlife conflict. The National Nature Conservation Fund Bardia notes that this study will serve a dual purpose, confirming whether the park's ecosystem can sustainably feed its tiger population and generating actionable data to improve overall wildlife management and conflict mitigating strategies across the region.
सिस्टमिक तरिकाले यो सबै कुरा जुन साइन्टिफिकली पुरै विश्वले चाहिँ मान्ने खालको सर्भे 2009 देखि सुरु भएको एवं रूपमा चाहिँ 4 भइरहेको
Experts are optimistic. They regard the status of prey species as the single most critical indicator for the long-term success of tiger conservation. A well-fed, stable prey population means healthier tigers, reduced conflict with surrounding communities, and a stronger, more resilient ecosystem. This study, one of its kind conducted in Bardia National Park with the tiger census in Bardia, is expected to set a new benchmark for evidence-based wildlife conservation in Nepal. Wildlife authorities are hopeful that the findings of this prey species census will directly inform conservation policy and habitat management decisions in the months ahead.
Nepal has a long tradition of Ayurvedic and natural healing practices, operating alongside modern medicine through hospitals, teaching institutions and wellness centers across the country. As global interest in Ayurveda, yoga and holistic treatment continues to rise, a naturopathy hospital in Golang municipality in Sangja district is attracting increasing numbers of patients seeking alternative methods of healing. Let's dig deeper with Bijeta Bhandari.
Located in the peaceful surroundings of Malunga Uttarabahini in Ward Number 1 of Galyang Municipality, the Kali Gandaki Naturopathy Hospital has gradually emerged as a treatment destination for patients from Siangta and neighboring districts, including Palpa, Gulmi, Nawalpur and Parbat. Built with a special federal government grant of 21.2 million Nepali rupees, the 10-bed hospital began operations in April of 2025. Unlike conventional hospitals, the center follows a medicine-free approach, focusing on naturopathy, yoga therapy, physiotherapy, massage therapy, and dietary counseling for patients suffering from chronic and lifestyle-related illnesses. The growing interest in such treatment reflects Nepal's long history of Ayurvedic and natural healing practices. Ayurveda, a traditional system of medicine based on natural remedies and lifestyle balance, has been practiced in Nepal for centuries, while the government institutionalized Ayurveda services through the establishment of the Department of Ayurveda, now operating as the Department of Ayurveda and Alternative Medicine under the federal system. Nepal's constitution also recognizes citizens' right to basic healthcare services and promotes traditional healthcare systems alongside modern medicine. Health experts say interest in holistic healing has been increasing globally globally, particularly among patients dealing with chronic lifestyle-related diseases. Residents say the new facility in Siangja has made treatment more accessible, especially for people seeking long-term care in a quieter and more natural environment.
एकदम राम्रो हुनुहुन्छ उपचार राम्रो गर्नुभछ अनि अब सुधार त धेरै पुरानो भएपछि अब एकैचोटी हुने कुरा भएन
The hospital is currently staffed by 8 personnel, including doctors. Hospital management says patient numbers have continued to rise since the operations began.
खानेको ह्याबिटहरु धेरै चीजहरु उहाँको एकदमै थाहा नभएर हामीले गल्ती गरिरहेको रहेछौं त्यो करेक्ट गर्ने बित्तिकै बडीले आफैले हिल गर्ने रहेछ बडी त एउटा मिराकल जसरी काम गर्दै रहेछ हामीले अलिकति डिसिप्लिनमा भएर नियम फलो गर्दा मात्रै पनि बडी आफैले त्यो गरेको चेन्जेस देखेर पेशेन्टहरु
Officials say the facility has shown promising results, but limited government funding and insufficient institutional support are making service expansion difficult.
अबका दिनमा प्राकृतिक अस्पतालले अलिकति गति लिन्छ कि जस्तो भएको छ केही बिरामीहरू यहाँ 10-15 जना बिरामीले उपचार पाइरहेका छन् गरिरहेका छन् त्यसैले हामी यो अस्पताल सञ्चालन गर्न पर्याप्त मात्रामा चाहिँ स्रोत र साधन नभए पनि यो अस्पताल सञ्चालन गर्दै आइरहेको.
Experts say if such centers are expanded and properly promoted, Nepal could strengthen preventive healthcare services while also developing health and wellness tourism tied to its traditional healing systems and natural environment.
From Sangza, we travel to Doti district in far western Nepal, where Badi Kedar temple is emerging as a religious and a tourism destination, drawing pilgrims from both Nepal and neighboring India. However, despite the growing flows of visitors, authorities say major infrastructure improvements are still needed to fully develop the area's tourism potential. Aprila Gising Lama has more in this report.
Located in Doti district in Nepal's far western region, Badi Kedar temple is increasingly gaining recognition as an important religious and tourism destination. The temple, regarded as a major center of Hindu faith, attracts pilgrims and visitors from various parts of Nepal as well as neighboring India. Local authorities say tourism activities and religious fairs are now being organized beyond the traditional annual festival season to promote the area more widely. Known for its panoramic views of the Api and Saipal Himalayan ranges, dense forests and natural surroundings, the destination has growing tourism potential.
ठुला केदार नामले पनि प्रसिद्ध छन् र अहिले बडी केदार भनेर पनि प्रसिद्ध छन्. अब यो खास गरेर छोटो रूपमा मेला लाग्ने मुख्य ठुलो विशेष पर्वको रूपमा कार्तिक शुक्ल त्रयोदशी मेला भएर चतुर्दशी हवन पूजा हुने र अनि शिवरात्रि महाशिवरात्रिको बेलामा पनि यहाँ मेलाको आयोजना हुन्छ र अधिकतम मान्छेहरू आएर दर्शन गरेर जान्छन्. अनि वैशाख शुक्ल चतुर्दशी पनि विशेष पर्वकै रूपमा नै यो केदारमा मेला लाग्ने भइरहेको छ. पहिलेदेखि थियो, बीचमा केही समय टुट्यो, फेरि सुरुवात गर्दैछन्.
Traditionally, the largest religious fair at Badi Kedar was held once a year during Kartik Shukla Trayodashi, an annual Hindu religious festival period in October-November. However, temple authorities have now started organizing additional fairs during this season to increase visitor engagement and tourism promotion. Despite its religious significance, local officials say the area still lacks adequate infrastructure, including roads, pedestrian trails, drinking water facilities, public toilets, accommodation, and information centers.
पर्यटकीय क्षेत्रलाई थप व्यवस्थित र पर्यटक आउन लायकको हामीले बनाउने रणनीति तय गरेका छौं. यस क्षेत्रको विकासका लागि हामीले प्रदेश सरकारसँग आग्रह गरेका छौं र संघीय सरकारलाई पनि हामीले हाम्रो निवेदन पर्यटन मन्त्रालयमा पेश गरेका छौं.
Officials believe that with better infrastructure and effective promotion, Badi Kedar could emerge as one of the major tourism destinations in Nepal's far western region.
Meanwhile, in Dang district, the Telganga area is gaining recognition as a model for ecotourism and sustainable development. Through reservoir conservation and development projects, the region has not only revived groundwater sources and addressed water shortages, but also created new opportunities for tourism and agriculture. Here is a report. Once considered an ordinary wetland area, Dang district is now undergoing a remarkable transformation. Through conservation efforts and the construction of reservoirs, the region has emerged as a promising destination for ecotourism. Previously unused marshland has been converted into a valuable water resource that helps recharge underground water supplies while also attracting visitors from various places. The development of reservoirs has helped address the long-standing problem of any drying wells in nearby communities. At the same time, these water bodies has enhanced the natural landscape, offering a peaceful and refreshing environment for the tourist. As a result, the area's tourism potential has steadily increased, bringing new hope and enthusiasm to local residents.
यहाँका कुवाहरू यो वर्ष अघिपछि सुक्ने कुवाहरू सुकेका छैन।
One of the key attractions is the Telganga Reservoir in Dang district, located beside the Rihar-Teli road section in Ward number 9 of Lamahi municipality. Built through coordination between local authorities, the reservoir is gradually becoming a popular destination and a symbol of successful environmental conservation. In the same area, 4 reservoirs have been constructed, significantly helping to alleviate local water shortages. On the other hand, the farmers are now able to make better use of water for agriculture and irrigation, improving both farming productivity and livelihoods. This success highlights the importance of conserving and developing water resources at the local level. Such initiatives not only help prevent future water crises, but also create opportunities for tourism, agriculture, and sustainable community development. Nepal's monsoon season fast approaching. Concerns over disaster preparedness are once again in focus. Reports of floods and landslides disrupting highways have already begun emerging from several parts of the country. Following last year's devastating disaster season, questions are now being raised over whether local, provincial and federal governments are adequately prepared to reduce risk and prevent a further loss of life. We conclude today's program with this important question mark. Kailali, Rohtahar, Bara, Parsa and Sarlai districts of Madhya province are highly vulnerable to extreme climate volatility during the monsoon season. Historically known for severe river flooding, the region is now increasingly affected by incessant rainfall each year. In Kailali, rivers including the Mohana, Kandra and Chaudhar continue to inundate settlements in Thangari sub-metropolitan city, Kailali rural municipality and Janaki rural municipality. As the risk of disaster continues to grow, local governments have prepared monsoon disaster response plans and started implementing preparedness measures. Rescue teams have been placed on standby, while safe shelters, relief supplies and emergency communication systems have been activated.
Mohana belt ka ra Kodani belt ka वडाहरु बढी विपदबाट प्रभावित हुने गरेका छन् र कैलाली गाउँपालिकाले विपदको पूर्व तयारीका लागि विभिन्न सचेतनामूलक गोष्ठीहरू कार्यक्रमहरू गरेको छ। त्यसैगरी प्रति कार्यदलहरू गठन गरेको छ, खोज तथा उद्धारका सामग्रीहरूको व्यवस्थापन गरेको छ।
Meanwhile, in Kanchanpur, the Dodha River remains a major threat in the areas including Punarbas municipality, Belauri and Beldari. To minimize the risk, local authorities have intensified monitoring along river banks. Deepak Bhandari, head of the Disaster Management Environment branch at Dhangari sub-metropolitan city says excavators and other essential equipments have been kept on standby and coordination has been strengthened with the Nepal police, the armed police force and local volunteers. Likewise, in eastern Nepal's Ilam district, local authorities are also stepping up disaster risk reduction and preparedness efforts ahead of the year's monsoon. The provincial government has allocated 450 million Nepali rupees for the repair of bridges that was damaged last year. Reconstruction work on roads, washed away bridges and electricity transmission lines is currently underway.
पूर्व तयारीको लागि अब हामीले एउटा नगरपालिकाको तर्फबाट यो डिजास्टरलाई अब प्रति कार्ययोजनाको निम्ति हामीले अब एउटा यो बर्खा भन्दा अगाडि नै एउटा चाहिँ के कार्यक्रम गर्ने भन्ने हाम्रो सोच छ र नेपाली सेनाले जुन किसिमको चाहिँ हामीलाई ओरिएन्टेसन गराइराख्नु भएको छ यो जेठ 14 गते पनि उहाँहरूको डेमोन्स्ट्रेसन छ हामी संलग्न हुन्छौं र नेपाली सेनासँग सशस्त्र बलसँग संयुक्त रूपमा चाहिँ हामीले पूर्व तयारीको लागि केही योजनाहरू गर्ने भन्ने हाम्रो चाहिँ एउटा छलफल कुराकानी भइरहेछ.
The government had declared Ilam a disaster crisis zone for 3 months and launched relief and construction initiatives. Last year, the district suffered extensive damage to roads and infrastructures, and 2.19 billion Nepali rupees was secured for recovery efforts. However, delays in contracting and slow fund disbursement have significantly slowed reconstruction progress, despite the approaching rainy season this year. Beyond the cities and the headlines, real lives continue to unfold. Stories shaped by struggle, strengthened by resilience, and carried forward by hope. This is the Hinterlands, and we will be back next week with more stories from the heart of Nepal. Do follow us on our website, nepaltelevision.com, social media handles, and the YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye for now.
Trimmed mustache, mirrored shades, and an unmistakable smile, Tenzing Norgay Sherpa climbs a steep hill in Khumbu. It's May 1991. After 38 years, he's returning to meet his old climbing partner, Sir Edmund Hillary, the man with whom he first stood atop the world.
Tenzing! Good to see you. My goodness. Well, yeah. Hi, Vicky. How are you? Nice to meet you. Yeah. Long time, Tenzing. Good to see you again. Yes, certainly. Did you have a good walk up? Very well. Good. Fine.
Sagarmatha, head of the sky. Chomolungma, the mother goddess of the world, or simply Mount Everest. A mountain with many names, yet for generations it meant only one thing: the impossible. Since the 1920s, climbers from around the world had tried to conquer it. Many never returned. Avalanches, storms, frostbite, the mountain refused them all. Then on 29 May 1953, Edmund Hillary of New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa of Nepal stood together on top of the world. The world woke up to the headline, Everest is conquered.
This is the BBC Home Service. Here is the news. Mount Everest has been conquered by members of the British expedition. The news reached London in a message to the Times. It said that Mr. E.P. Hillary, a New Zealander, and Tenzing Bhutia, a Sherpa, had reached the summit last Friday, May 29th.
Among the 35 men in the team that made history was Kancha Sherpa, the last surviving member of that expedition. He passed away in October 2025. He remembered the climb as hard but joyful.
हामी के काममा जाने त्यहाँ जाने कामै थिएन अब यहाँको मान्छेहरू चाहिँ तल लोबेजसम्म बस्छ त्यहाँबाट त हामी जाने कामै छैन अनि तेन्जिङहरू त हेरेर आएर पो माथि एभरेस्ट चाहिँ हामीले थाहा पायो नभए हाम्रो गाउँै भए पनि हामीले के जाने कामै छैन गाह्रो भयो हजुर मलाई गाह्रो त के जानु नसक्ने के अब कहिले पनि त्यस्तो काम गरेको छैन तो पनि त बारे बोकेर त खरबासमा जानु पर्यो यहाँ हातमा डोरहरू समाउनु पर्यो यहाँ आइसँग समाउनु पर्यो यहाँ बारे थुप्रो बोकेर जानु पर्यो अनि त साङ्गुमा जानु पर्यो अनि माथि जुल्रेर जानु पर्यो अनि गाह्रो त एकदम गाह्रो छ तर यस्तो काम पाएर धेरै खुसी भयो नि
Hillary loved Khumbu and Khumbu loved Hillary. He dedicated his life for the region and its people. In the decades that followed, Everest became a symbol of determination, not just for men, but for everyone who dared to dream. In 1993, Pasang Lamu Sherpa became the first Nepali woman to stand on the summit. Her journey was marked by courage and struggle.
पैसा हुनु पर्यो यसमा आफूले लगानी गरेर खर्च गर्नु पर्यो रोयल्टी तिर्नु पर्यो अब आफूले सँगै लाने ग्रुपहरुलाई चाहिँ खानाहरु हुनु पर्यो लुगाहरु एकैमैको पैसाहरु हुनु पर्यो त्यसकारणले चाहिँ यो पैसाकोले नि पैसाकै समस्याले गर्दाखेरि पनि अगाडि बढ्न नसकेको हो तर यहाँ एउटा ट्रेनिङको महिलाहरुलाई चाहिँ यो माउन्टेन एरिया क्षेत्रमा एउटा ट्रेनिङको व्यवस्था बन्दोबस्त पनि त्यति साह्रो राम्रो छैन.
For some, the climb is a personal test. For others, it's a way to uplift an entire nation. Of the many record holders from Nepal, Apa Sherpa, who's also known as the Super Sherpa, had reached the summit 21 times before announcing his retirement.
म यो रेकर्डको लागि चल्ने भए त म आज पनि चल्न सकिन्छु नि तर म रेकर्डको लागि होइन मैले हाम्रो देशको लागि हाम्रो राष्ट्रको लागि माथि पहिले सुरुवातमा त आफ्नो पेसा भनौँ न अब पुरा नै हाम्रो राष्ट्रको लागि भनौँ पहिले सुरुवातमा त आफ्नै पेसाको हो तर त्यो लास्टमा म चढिरह्यो भने त्यो त तपाईँको उस जस्तो देखिन्छ कि कम्पिटिसन जस्तो देखिन्छ कि मलाई त्यो मेरो चाहिँ नि त्यो कम्पिटिसन होइन र म राष्ट्रको लागि हो त्यसैले मैले अब 2011 देखि मैले सन्यास लिएर अपा शेर्पा फाउन्डेसन खोलेर शिक्षा सबभन्दा इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ के छ हाम्रो शिक्षा एजुकेसन छैन भने हामीले धेरै गाह्रो छ मैले खैराहरूले पनि भन्दैछु विदाउट एजुकेसन वी हैव नो चोइस एजुकेसन इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ त्यसपछि हाम्रो वातावरण त्यसैले हाम्रो नेपालको लागि म त्यो दुईवटालाई जोडेर मैले सपोर्ट गरिरहेको छु.
Over time, the story of Everest has changed. Each climbing season now brings not only adventurers, but also income and impact. In 2024, Everest generated nearly 676 million Nepali rupees, almost 80% of Nepal's total mountaineering revenue. The fee for foreign climbers has been revised now to $15,000 each. So far, more than 8,000 summiteers of different nationalities have climbed Mount Everest. Many more aspire to reach the top of the world. To ease the pressure on Everest and promote other regions, the government of Nepal has opened 97 peaks that range from 5,970 meters to 7,123. One can climb these mountains in the Western Karnali and Sudur Paschim provinces without having to pay royalties. As voices increase for the need of having summited at least one mountain over 7,000 meters in the country before bidding for the Everest, these 97 peaks are likely to be training ground for summiteers. With success, Everest has also seen a heavy burden. In 2023 alone, more than 75 tons of waste were collected from the Everest region. This included plastic, metal, oxygen bottles, and even human waste. The mountain has also been plagued by fatal climbing attempts.
यसपालिको भन्दाखेरि त अब लास्ट इयरको पनि मरेको लासहरू अझै पनि छन् माथि बाटोमै पनि त्यो लासहरू देखे हामीले यो 8,300-400 मिटरमा बाल्कुनीमा त्यो लासहरू पनि अझै भइरहेको छ र फोहोरहरू पनि सजको पनि टन्नै फोहोरहरू छ पहिला हामीले अब शहरमा त अरू सङ्घले पनि 2011 मा सफा त गर्यो त्यत्रो फोहोर ल्याए 10 टन फोहोर पनि धेरै नै ल्याएको त्यतिखेर त्यति ल्याउँदा पनि अझै फोहोरहरू चाहिँ एकदमै छ भनौं न टाइममा अब राज्यले चाहिँ किन त्यसलाई चाहिँ अलिकति व्यवस्थापन के अब कुन हिसाबले हुन्छ त्यो फोहोरलाई अलिकति तल ल्याएर अलिकति सफा गरे भने एभरेस्टको लागि अलिकति विदेशीहरुको लागि अलि राम्रो होला कि भन्ने चाहिँ हामीलाई लागेछ.
Sagarmatha has taught the world to dream higher, but now she asks us to care deeper. The greatest climb perhaps isn't upward, but inward. "70 years since the first ascent, much has changed, but one thing has and will remain constant. Everest has and will continue to stand tall and keep challenging human abilities."
The number of devotees collectively chanting, admiring and understanding these holy chants has reached 2 billion all across the world now. This implies that the population following Buddhism is increasing by the day. Buddhism rests upon the principle that one must be empathetic, kind, and exonerate towards all living beings. Love, brotherhood, and mutual harmony is the only way towards peace at present, when the whole world is entangled within warfare, fighting, and conflicts. Anyone seeking for peace can find it within themselves on internalizing the words and messages of Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha, also known as the Light of Asia, established himself as the preacher of Buddhism and enlightened the whole world with his message of peace, awareness, kindness, and wisdom. Buddha sacrificed his whole life urging for the need of truth, justice, and altruistic feeling within mankind. Gautama Buddha was born in Lumbini. It lies in the western part of Nepal in Rupandehi districts of the Lumbini zone. Lumbini has been protected under the World Cultural Heritage Site since 1997 AD. In the year 1896, the then senior officer of Palpa, Kharga Shamsher, and German expert Dr. A. Fuharer jointly carried out the work of archaeological excavation and investigation of Lumbini. After some period, archaeologists located the commemorative Ashok pillar erected by King Ashok of India during ancient period. With such facts coming in front, Lumbini caught attention of the people all around the world. Among the most significant heritages of Lumbini are Ashok Pillar and Maya Devi Temple. It is believed that Maya Devi gave birth to Siddhartha Gautam in 623 BC at the very spot where the temple is located at present. The then Maya Devi temple, however, remains only in the pictures and in imaginations. Renovation and repair works have already changed the original structure of the temple. Nevertheless, with the new structure, this temple has embraced a divine outlook in it. Not only the temple, but the whole Lumbini region is in the process of plan reconstruction and development. The visit of the then General Secretary of the United Nations Organization, U Thant, in the year 1967 brought together the notion of Lumbini Area Development Project. Under a master plan of the Japanese archaeologist Professor Kenzo Tange, the project was initiated in the year 1978. Lumbini Area Development Project Master Plan spreads in the area of 3 miles. Major attraction of this project is the Maya Devi temple premises. This holy garden has emerged as a peaceful, religious and spiritual hub as well as the center for tourists. This garden, located in the southern part of the temple, has assimilated a number of objects of archaeological and historical importance. The whole area appears magnificent, with a calm lake and beautiful parks. The temple displays numerous artifacts built in different centuries. These works shed light upon the historical importance of the temple. It is assumed that works of repair and renovation were carried out time and again since the reign of the Maurya dynasty till 8th century BC. The outer wall of the temple spreads 26 meters in the east-west and 21 meters in the north-south direction. During its excavation, 5 rooms in the east-west and 3 rooms in north-south direction were discovered. 3 of these rooms are square and the remaining 5 are rectangular in shape. There is an ancient Mayadevi idol showing the birth of Lord Buddha inside the temple. This idol is also known as the birth idol. The remains inside the temple date back from 5th century BC to the 7th century BC. Marker stone, alias birth stone, is placed safe above a Maurya period brick inside a deep room. This clearly depicts the exact place where Lord Buddha was delivered. This stone is around 25 steps north of the Holy Lake. Other evidential objects uncovered from excavations are kept as it is for devotees and other tourists to explore and to study. Ashoka pillar near to Mayadevi temple is believed to have been erected by King Ashoka in 249 BC during the 21st year of his enthronement. The Utkirna stone inscription engraved in this pillar in Brahmi script is a historical proof that Lord Gautama Buddha was born here. This is the most reliable historical and archaeological archive to learn about the birthplace of Lord Buddha as well as to explore Lumbini itself. A 5-stanza writing of 90 words written in Brahmi script, the first script that Buddha learned, is engraved in this pillar. Archaeologist Dr. A. Fuhara verified the writing in 1896 AD. This script attests huge and significant information about Lumbini. In the northern side of the Ashoka pillar lies Puskarini, or the holy pond. Legends say Mayadevi took the holy dip prior to the birth of Lord Buddha in this pond, and that baby Buddha too had his first bath. Architectural fragments of different size and shape collected from various excavations are protected in the southeast, northeast and western direction of the Mayadevi temple. On close examination of the temple, the tradition and technology of Maurya dynasty is revealed. Some monasteries are constructed using the remains of Lord Buddha, while some other incorporates the remains of his followers, and few others have been constructed in Buddha's reminiscence. These monasteries depict the then art, custom, religion and tradition. In the northern side of the holy garden, towards the center, lies the eternal peace flame, the peace bell and a 3-kilometer long and 16-meter wide canal. One can also view the World Peace Pagoda from here. The canal divides the whole area into 2 sections. Towards the eastern monasteries, 13 plots are designated to Thar Buddhist and 29 plots are allocated to Mahayani Buddhist in the western monasteries. In eastern region, various countries and Thar Buddhist organizations have constructed a number of monasteries following their native architectural texture. Myanmar, Sri Lankan, Indian, Cambodian and Thai government, including Nepalese, have constructed stupas and guest houses in these areas following the agreement with Lumbini Development Trust. Similarly, most of the western plots have been occupied with similar stupas, monasteries, guest houses and meditation centers constructed by various organizations or Government of Nepal, China, Vietnam, France, Japan, Austria, Bhutan and Mongolia, among other nations. In these monasteries, Buddhists perform their regular worship, enchantments and meditations according to their own customs. In the northern side of the new Lumbini village area is the 41.5 meter long and 49 meter cylindrical World Peace Pagoda. Fujiguru of Japan is said to have constructed similar pagodas in different locations all over the world during his journey of finding peace. World Peace Pagoda was designed by Japanese architect Dr. Minoru Ohuka. This pagoda came into operation since 1995. Built in traditional Japanese design, the upper part of this pagoda holds metallic artifacts exhibiting the birth of Lord Buddha. Lumbini Museum and Lumbini International Research Center are other important places to visit once one reaches Lumbini. These buildings, constructed in pagoda style, portray an architectural masterpiece in themselves. Inside Lumbini Museum, the archaeological remains found during the excavation of Lumbini area are preserved inside a large hall. One can easily gather information about the birthplace of Lord Buddha and the then contemporary society and culture exploring these heritages. Within the building, designed by Professor Kenzi Tange himself, Lumbini International Research Center has been established. More than 3,500 research materials and texts on Buddha, Buddhism, history, philosophy, knowledge, and teachings of Buddha can be found here. For the visitors' comfort, the center has provided the facility to read texts on different languages, including Sanskrit, Chinese, Japanese, Turkmen, Burmese, Thai, Nepali, and Nepal languages. There is an easy access of air as well as terrestrial transportation to reach Lumbini. The nearest airport to Lumbini is the Gautama Buddha Airport located in Bhairawa. One can also take roadways from different cities of Nepal to reach Lumbini easily. Situated in northwestern side of Kathmandu, Lumbini is 327 kilometers far from the capital. From the Indian border Sunauli, it lies in the distance of a mere 26 kilometers. Visitors can find ample bus, cabs, rickshaws, and other transportation means to explore the whole area of Lumbini. Accommodation in Lumbini is again not a big deal. There are a number of hotels, lodges, and restaurants ranging from expensive ones to medium and cheap motels in the market area. Within Lumbini area also, one can easily find guest houses, monasteries and stupas constructed to accommodate the visitors. The overall development works of Lumbini is spearheading on the basis of Lumbini Development Master Plan. Lumbini Development Fund is effortful to accomplish Lumbini Development Master Plan and to protect and preserve the overall Lumbini area. If you are planning to travel the birthplace of Lord Gautama Buddha, the holy Lumbini, we cordially invite you to explore all these spots of historical and archaeological importance, all related to Lord Buddha. You can travel around to see the ancient palace of King Suddhodana, father of Lord Buddha in Kapilvastu, and the debris of the earliest capital of Shakya kings, Tilaurakot, still preserved with high importance. This palace is located around 27 kilometers far from Lumbini. Lord Buddha, as the prince, spent 29 years of his life in this palace. Prince Siddhartha Gautama abandoned the royal livelihood in search of Mahanirvana, or enlightenment. In the year 1898 AD, Indian archaeologist P.C. Mukherjee, following the description of Chinese traveler Hu Yansanga, and unveiled the unknown facts about Tilaurakot after his 4 months-long research and excavation works. He mentioned that the Tilaurakot palace stretched in the area of 1,700 feet north-south and 1,300 feet east-west direction, was surrounded by walls up to 8 to 12 feet. The main entrance gate had Buddha stupas and monasteries in both the sides. All these buildings are under excavation and protection at present. Mukherjee has also maintained that King Suddhodana ruled his kingdom from the same palace. Hence, no doubt remains on the fact that the present Tilaurakot was ancient Kapilvastu. Archaeological debris as well as ancient palace and east-west entrance constructed since 4th century BC to 2nd century BC can be observed vividly now as well. Another historical site of Lumbini is Kudan, also known as Lauri Kudan, around 28 kilometers southwest of Lumbini. Myths have it that Lord Gautama Buddha met his father King Suddhodana at this very spot for the first time on returning to his hometown Kapilvastu after attaining enlightenment. Others say Prajapati Gautami, Gautam Buddha's foster mother, handed him Kayas Vastra at this place. Some others also claim that at this very site, Gautama Buddha's son Rahul transformed into Buddhism and turned a saint. Inscription held the existence of 4 walls and 1 buried well at this place. However, only 3 walls can be seen at present. According to Dewala Mitra, on the southern side of this lies one rectangular wall, and another wall has a snake temple on the top of it. In the largest wall, located at northeast direction, idol of Lord Shiva and the remains of other idols can be seen at the top. "500 meters north of King Suddhodana's palace lay 2 stupas. Experts say these stupas are the graves of King Suddhodana and his queen Maya Devi. The largest stupa has the area of 52 feet and is 75 feet high, whereas the smaller one has the area of 26 feet. The largest stupa is said to be constructed in the 4th century BC and was reconstructed 3 times during the 2nd and the 1st century BC. Similarly, the smaller stupa is believed to have been constructed in between the 2nd and the 1st century BC. Devadaha, that lies in Bhawanipur of Rupandehi, is said to be the maternal home of Siddhartha Gautama. Inscriptions say that Siddhartha Gautam spent 7 years of his childhood in Devadaha. Also, it is believed that he, upon attaining enlightenment, paid a visit to Devadaha. Devadaha is also popularly regarded as the maternal home of Queen Maya Devi, Queen Prajapati, and Princess Yasodhara. 10 idols are established in a single row in the eastern wall. However, the structure of all other idols besides one of the sun god in the center is unclear. This place, serving as an open museum, still needs a rigorous research and study to explore more about Kolya Kingdom. Ramgram Monastery has been constructed in the sidelines of Jharahi River towards 4 kilometers southeast of Parasi of Nawalparasi district. 7 meters in height, this monastery was constructed, establishing 1 metallic remains of Lord Buddha in its base. This monastery is one among the 8 monasteries constructed worldwide with the metallic remains in their base. This monastery was constructed upon the order of the king of Ramgram. He was the 8th king to receive the remains of Lord Buddha. Buddhist religious texts say that King Ashoka was in his mission of collecting remains of Lord Buddha from all 8 monasteries to construct the 84,000 stupas. But he was not allowed to extort the remains of Lord Buddha from Ramgram Monastery. Around 9 kilometers north from Tilaurakot lies a pond named Sagarwa or Lambu Sagar. The pond has high significance with regard to its archaeological value. This pond is popularly recognized as the spot where Koshal rural king Naresh Birudhak killed the thousands of Shakyas at the same time during the 5th century BC. Inscriptions have it that this pond extends 1,059 feet towards the length and 225 feet towards the breadth and was discovered in 1895 AD. However, only few remains and a mark of the pond can be traced here at present. Gotihawa is renowned as the birthplace of Manushi Krakuchandra Buddha. It is also said that Krakuchandra Buddha met his father at the very place after attaining nirvana. Debris of Ashoka pillar, ancient well, bricks and other remains can be retrieved in the buried form from here. Major Wada and P.C. Mukherjee excavated Gotihawa in 1895 AD and mentioned that Krakuchandra Buddha was born here. Aurora Court is an ancient town situated 8 kilometers northeast of Taulihawa. Aurora Court is regarded as the location of Kanak Muni Buddha, but scientific research is necessary to trace further facts of this town. Meanwhile, manuscripts have it that Niglihawa, 7 kilometers far in the northern side of Taulihawa, is the birthplace of Kanak Muni Buddha. It is the same place where he got enlightenment. They also say that archaeologist Dr. Fuhara discovered inscriptions in ancient stupas at this very place. In the western side of Nigli Sagar, one of the Ashoka pillars can be seen in 2 pieces. In an inscription written in Brahmi script, Pali language, it is mentioned that King Ashoka erected this pillar when he reached Kapilvastu. When he reached Kapilvastu Lumbini during the 3rd century BC. King Ashoka was said to be in pilgrimage. These pillars, 15 feet long, have engraved figure of peacock in one of the pillar and another has Om Mani Padme Hum carved in it. This holy land of Buddha has a large number of places and objects of historical and archaeological importance. Many are still under the grave of Mother Earth, left to be extracted and excavated. After watching this documentary about Holy Land of Lord Buddha, you need not reach far to realize peace. Reaching this sacred birthplace of Lord Buddha will be enough to experience eternal peace. This holy land is the source of world peace. Lumbini is the center of serenity and harmony among all the people in the world. World Cultural Heritage Site and Shakya sage Gautama Buddha's birthplace is a precious gift for the whole world.
Severe heat alert issued for 6 districts of Western Nepal. Met Division urges people to adopt precautionary measures. Nepal government assures adequate sugar stock available for next 8 months. Such follows as India's export ban raises concerns. At least 82 killed in a coal mine explosion in China. Blast constitutes the world's worst mining disaster in 16 years. Visiting U.S. Secretary of State Rubio meets Indian Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. Visit expected to put India-U.S. partnership on firmer grounds. Iran says it is in final stages of drafting framework for peace deal with the U.S. Adds ending U.S. naval blockade part of the draft. And Nepal defeats Kyrgyzstan in straight sets in the Kava Women's Volleyball Championship. Also keeps its chances of reaching semis alive. Good evening, I am Aprila Gising Lama and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. The details now. Nepal's National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority, NDRRMA, has issued an alert for severe heat in 6 districts of western Nepal, warning that temperatures in parts of the West Tarai may exceed 40 degrees Celsius from today through Monday. Dang, Bake, Bardia, Doti, Kailali and Kanchanpur are under heightened alert, while Kapilvastu, Rupandehi and nearby districts are also being closely monitored. Authorities have warned that extreme heat may cause health issues such as fatigue, dehydration, headache and dizziness, and have urged people to take precautions. The Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has also reported a sharp rise in temperatures since early May. Officials have advised residents to stay indoors during peak heat hours, stay hydrated, wear protective clothing, and limit outdoor activities to early morning or late afternoon. We'll look more into this issue of the day later in the bulletin. Now, India has imposed a ban on sugar exports, raising concerns about a possible shortage in the Nepali market. However, the government and sugar industry stakeholders have clarified that the sugar for the next 8 months there will be no shortage. They have said that a sufficient stock is available and that Nepal can import sugar from India through the government-to-government mechanism if needed, ensuring supply stability. Following India's restriction on exports by private traders until September, concerns had increased in Nepal. However, both the government and industry representatives have stated that Nepal will not face a shortage as existing reserves are adequate. We will look more into this in our cover story later in the bulletin. Moving on, at least 82 people have been killed and 2 are missing after a coal mine blast in southern China, according to state media. The gas explosion at the Liu Shenyu coal mine in Shanxi province is the worst mining disaster in China since 2009. There were 247 workers reportedly on duty when the blast happened at 7:29 p.m. local time on Friday, with more than 100 people reportedly pulled to safety and hundreds of rescuers sent to the site. Chinese President Xi Jinping called for no effort to be spared in efforts to treat the injured and search for survivors and asked the government to investigate the cause of the blast and hold those responsible to account. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Delhi, with whom the meeting lasted for over an hour. During the meeting, the top U.S. diplomat invited Modi to the White House on U.S. President Donald Trump's behalf. Rubio arrived in Kolkata this morning to begin his 4-day India visit, his trip to the country since taking office last year. The top U.S. diplomat will also hold talks with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Sunday and will attend a meeting of the Quad foreign ministers in Delhi on Tuesday. Rubio's visit is expected to serve as a high-level effort to put the partnership back on firmer ground, with both U.S. President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi seen as personally invested in maintaining momentum in bilateral ties. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baqei has told state television that Iran is in the final stage of finalizing memoranda of understanding with the United States, signaling ongoing diplomatic engagement between the two sides. Baqei also said his country has included the ending of a week-long U.S. naval blockade and arrangements on the strategic Strait of Hormuz in a draft framework for a deal with the United States, adding that the nuclear issue was not part of the framework. This comes as Iran's chief negotiator Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf met Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir in Tehran as the Pakistani military leader visited the Iranian capital in a reported effort to support mediation amid ongoing regional tensions. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said there is a possibility that Iran could agree to a deal aimed at ending the conflict with Israel as early as Saturday, but stressed that the issue still needs to be resolved. Nepal has registered its first victory in the Kava Women's Volleyball Championship. Nepal secured its first win in the tournament by defeating Kyrgyzstan in straight sets, 3-0 in its second match today. The Nepali team dominated the game as it won the first set 25-18, the second set 25-20 and the third set 25-13. With this win, Nepal has climbed to second place in Group A with 4 points. India leads the group with 5 points while Kyrgyzstan is third with 3 points and winless Maldives remains at the bottom. The victory has also strengthened Nepal's chances of reaching the semi-finals. Nepal will advance to the Final Four if it defeats Maldives tomorrow. Now, Western Nepal is heating up fast, with temperatures expected to cross 40 degrees in several Tarai districts. After the break, what the health risks really are, what experts are warning, and the simple steps that could keep you safe in this extreme heat. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Welcome back. Nepal of late has been experiencing severe heat conditions with temperatures rising sharply across the country, especially in the western regions. Various Tarai districts are under heightened alert, including Dang, Bake, Bardia, Doti, Kailali and Kanchanpur, Kapilvastu, Rupandehi. Authorities have warned that extreme heat and hot air waves could lead to health problems such as dehydration, fatigue, headache and dizziness. People have been urged to stay indoors during peak sunlight hours, stay hydrated and limit outdoor activities to early morning or late afternoon, with special protection advised for children and the elderly. Now, the situation in western Nepal reflects a broader pattern of intensifying heat waves across South Asia and beyond, as rising global temperatures increase the frequency and severity of extreme weather events. Climate scientists link these increasingly common heat extremes to long-term global warming trends, warning that vulnerable regions like the Indo-Gangetic Plain and the Tarai Belt are likely to face even more intensive and prolonged heat waves in the coming years. In this context, we earlier spoke to climate and environment expert Ujjwal Upadhyay.
Problem is there has been the severe tussle between westerly wind and easterly. So actually, by this time, in fact, the monsoon is supposed to enter Nepal by this week, right? But I have a big doubt that the strong westerly wind, which is continuously coming from Western India across our country, particularly from the far western Nepal and coming towards Gandaki area. So this may affect the proper onset or proper activation of monsoon and even the timely enter of the monsoon. That's why we have been seeing that there has been the sufficient rainfall taking place in the eastern part of the country, even the central. Even in Kathmandu, we received a good amount of rainfall this afternoon. But the western part of the country, particularly the Tarai and the mid hills, they are burning. In fact, they are boiling. The westerly wind should have become very weak, and there should have been a continuous domination of the easterly wind. So that would have made a lot of things easy, but mainly because of the continuous climate change that we have been seeing for past several years, this has become a permanent and stagnant phenomena for past several years. Slight rise in temperature can bring significant turbulence in the wind system, keeping one area absolutely dry and other area absolutely drenched. And another reason is the high pressure atmospheric system. What happens is when in particular area, when the temperature rises by half a degree or even a degree, it develops a dome shaped, right? High pressure dome shaped system, right? And that actually doesn't let that air to disperse and doesn't let any outer air system to come and intervene to bring rain. So these are some of the severe phenomena that we have been seeing for past several years. For past several years, and also the weakened local ecosystem. Because what has happened is we have cut a lot of forest, and also the water bodies have dried, and it's mainly because of the prolonged drought, in particularly in the winter, because this winter was fourth consecutive dry winter when the rainfall deficit was more than 80%, right? So it's mainly because of the prolonged drought. What happens is the soil moisture also goes severely down.
Right.
And also the forest area that becomes absolutely dry. Increase in the global atmosphere and global temperature. So these are some of the reasons why that we have been facing the heat stress, not only in this part of the world, but everywhere. Particularly if you look at the Indian subcontinent and particularly the Western India, the scenario has been even more severe than our country.
Now, India has hit pause on sugar exports. And for Nepal, this raises a bigger question. How safe is our supply? After the break on our cover story, why experts say there's no immediate panic, but industries and consumers are still watching the situation very closely. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Time for the cover story. India has banned all sugar exports effective 13th of May 2026, and the ban stays in place until at least the 30th of September. For Nepal, which relies on India for the majority of its sugar supply, the implications are significant. Smitu Gising Tamang tries to find out what the numbers tell us. Nepal needs approximately 280,000 metric tons of sugar every year. But domestic production from the country's 13 operational sugar mills, all privately owned and concentrated in the Tarai belt, stands at only 187,000 metric tons this fiscal year. That is a shortfall of around 93,000 metric tons, which Nepal has historically filled through imports predominantly from India. In the last fiscal year, Nepal imported 25,862 metric tons of sugar from India, valued at approximately 1.83 billion Nepali rupees. And it is worth noting, Nepal does have two state-owned sugar factories, the Birganj Sugar Factory and the Lumbini Sugar Factory. But both have remained closed for years despite government plans to revive them. For now, there is no immediate shortage. Nepal's 13 sugar mills currently hold 141,000 metric tons in stock. An additional 70,000 metric tons have already been imported, giving the market a combined buffer of around 200,000 metric tons. The Nepal Sugar Mills Association says prices have not risen, and the government says it will pursue special import permission from India or look to third countries if a shortage appears likely. Traders and industrialists, however, are not entirely reassured. If the ban extends beyond September, or if stocks run low before then, sugar-dependent industries will be hit hardest. Biscuit manufacturers, juice producers, confectionery makers, industries that cannot easily switch suppliers on short notice. Industrialists have called on the government to reduce import tariffs so Nepal can source from alternative markets without a heavy cost burden. This is not the first time Nepal has felt the ripple of an Indian export restriction. Wheat, rice, onions, the list is familiar. The sugar ban is a reminder that Nepal's food supply chain runs heavily through one border. The buffer exists for now, but the question of long-term import diversification is one that cannot keep being deferred. Smitu Gising Tamang reporting for NTV World.
Now, in this context, we have asked the general public on how certain are authorities that there will be no sugar shortage in Nepal, given current stock levels and the possibility of imports through G2G arrangements.
चिनीको अभाव हो यहाँ नेपाल भरिमा पुर्याउनलाई अलि गाह्रो पर्छ नेपालको मात्रै हैन अब यस्तो अब चारैतिर अब यस्तै गर्दै गयो भने अब सरकारले पनि राम्रै काम गर्दै गयो भने त जस ठिकै हुन्छ होला जस्तो लाग्छ
बाहिरको भन्दा यहीँको चिनी भयो भने राम्रो लाग्छ मलाई बाहिर नल्यायो भने यहीँको चिनी भयो भने धेरै राम्रो लाग्छ किनभने बाहिरबाट ल्याउनु परेन यहीँको राम्रो हुन्छ भयो भने यहीँको उखु खेतीले पनि सबैले पैसा दिनु पायो के राम्रो लाग्छ
चिनी अहिले अब चिनी छोडेर अहिले पेट्रोलको अभाव हुँदा त हामी आत्तिक छैन पहिलाको सरकार छोडेर अहिले हाम्रो नयाँ सरकार छ हामीले त्यही कारणले यो सरकारलाई लिएर आएको छौँ अलिक टाइम दिउँ हामी अहिले चिनीमा आत्तिनु पर्दैन
हेर्दै जाउँ अब नेपालमा चाहिँ उखुको उत्पादन कति छ त्यही अनुसार नै थाहा हुन्छ अब कति जेलसम्म धान छ अब भण्डार कति छ रेगुलर उत्पादन छ कि छैन अब बजारमा रेगुलर सामान दिने रेटको भाउ वृद्धि बच्छ पर्दैन त्यसमा पनि फरक पर्छ
इच्छा शक्ति भयो भने चाहिँ धेरै देशले धेरै कुराहरू चाहिँ आफूलाई पूर्ति गरेका छन् जस्तै नेपालकै परिप्रेक्ष्यमा भन्यो भने चिनीको लागि नेपाल आफै आत्मनिर्भर हुनतिर सोच्नुपर्छ यस्तै एउटा ज्वलन्त उदाहरण यहाँलाई सामान्य उदाहरण दिउँ कतार जस्तो देशमा जहाँ चाहिँ धेरै देशले मतलब त्यो नाकाबन्दी लाउँदाखेरि कतारले अन्तबाट गाई ल्याएर बाहिरबाट माटो ल्याएर राखेर त्यहाँ जमिन बनाएर गाई ल्याएर पालेर आज कतारबाट चाहिँ दुग्धजन्य डेरी पदार्थहरू चाहिँ बाहिर देशमा निर्यात हुन्छ
अब विश्वास त गर्नै पर्यो हैन अब यति आन्दोलन भएको छ अब आन्दोलनपछि नयाँ सरकार उठेको छ अब यो सरकारले केही गर्ला कि भन्ने आशा सबैले राखेकै छन्
अहिलेको सरकारले चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ त्यही प्रमिसिङै के भन्छ टास्कहरू गरेछ अनि एकछिन के भन्छ चाँडो अहिलेसम्म त के डेभलपै गरिराख्नु भएको छ सो यो अभाव भनेको नि त्यही अभावै हुन दिनुहुन्न होला जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ
That was the end of our cover story. Now we move on to other updates. Nepal's Minister for Health and Food Hygiene, Nisha Mehta, held discussions with a high-level team of the Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, on matters regarding the effective availability of vaccines in Nepal. In her discussions with a high-level team of Gavi on the sidelines of the 79th World Health Assembly of the World Health Organization, WHO, in Geneva, Switzerland, earlier today, she said that continued operation and collaboration with Gavi is indispensable to prevent any adverse impact on the vaccination program during the transition period. She also said that continuous cooperation and close coordination with Gavi is indispensable as Nepal's public health expenditure is still limited to around 5% of the gross domestic production. During the meeting, both sides expressed commitment to ensuring equitable access to life-saving health services, including vaccination for all citizens, even during the period of transition, and to further expand the partnership between Nepal and Gavi. Now, Gavi has been a key partner in Nepal's national immunization program since 2000. Minister Mehta mentioned that Gavi has played a significant technical and financial role in the successful expansion of HPV and other life-saving vaccines, including rubella elimination, which Nepal achieved by 2025. Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, is a public-private partnership that helps vaccinate more than half the world's children against some of the world's deadliest diseases.
Moving on, Nepal's Minister for Information and Communication, Dr. Bikram Timsina, has expressed commitment that the government will take concrete steps to prevent the misuse of public welfare advertising and ensure fair distribution of advertisements to media outlets. He made the remarks while speaking at a program held in Kathmandu today on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of Radio Sagarmatha, the first community broadcasting service in South Asia.
जनताको पैसा खर्च हुने विज्ञापनहरुको अब हिसाब किताब हुन्छ अब त्यसको अध्ययन हुन्छ त्यसमा अनुसन्धान हुन्छ र राम्रो काम गर्ने अकाउन्टेबल काम गर्ने एउटा मानक स्थापना गर्ने संस्थाहरु चाहिँ योबाट जनताको पैसाबाट लाभान्वित हुनुपर्छ खासमा जनताको इन्ट्रेस्टको लागि जस्ता मिडियाहरुले काम गर्छन् त्यस्तो मिडियाहरुले चाहिँ जनताको पैसाको लाभ लिन पाउनुपर्छ त्यो पनि जनताको हितको लागि.
In other news, some leaders of CPN-UML have demanded that party chair KP Sharma Oli resign and pave the way for party restructuring. During the meeting held at Chairperson Oli's residence in Bhaktapur, some leaders who expressed their views suggested that the chairperson should step down and open the way for party reorganization. However, some other leaders said the current leadership should be strengthened to move the party forward. According to Vice Chairperson Lekhraj Bhatta, the General Secretary, 3 Vice General Secretaries and 5 Secretaries presented their views in today's meeting.
हिजो कयौं बैठकमा भएका चीजहरू अलि अतिरञ्जित पाराले बाहिर आएका छन्. मलाई के लाग्छ भने म जुन स्कुलिङबाट आएको छु हरेक चीजहरू बैठकमा गरिने कुरा ती के हुन्छन् भने त्यहाँ भित्र विभिन्न प्रवृत्तिहरू आउँछन् र ती प्रवृत्तिमा बोल्ने भन्ने लागेका विषयवस्तु हुन्छन् तर त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामीले जे पार्टीको मुख्य लाइन हो त्यो लाइन बाहेक बाहिर बोल्नुहुन्न भन्ने लाग्छ.
Nepali Congress's President Gagan Thapa has alleged that since the formation of the current government, the executive has attempted to control both the legislature and the judiciary. Speaking at a press meet held at the Koirala residence in Biratnagar, Thapa said that interference by the executive in all 3 organs of the state is unacceptable. He added that the party will continue efforts to prevent such wrongdoings by the government.
यो माग पनि राख्न चाहन्छु र सरकारलाई स्मरण पनि गराउन चाहन्छु कि तपाईहरुले आफ्नो 100 दिनको कार्यक्रम सार्वजनिक गरिरहँदै गर्दा र पछि गौरीबहादुर कार्कीको आयोगको प्रतिवेदन बुझ्दै गर्दाखेरि एउटा प्रतिबद्धता व्यक्त गर्नुभएको थियो. हामी भाद्र 24 गतेको बारेमा अनुसन्धान गर्न छुट्टै न्यायिक आयोग बनाउने छौं. तर अहिले सबैले यसलाई ढाकछोप गर्ने प्रयत्न गर्नुभएको छ. यो स्वीकार्य छैन. त्यसैले भाद्र 24 का सन्दर्भमा तत्कालै एउटा न्यायिक छानबिन आयोग बन्नुपर्छ र त्यो दिन जसले उपद्रव गरेका हुन् जसले आतंक मचाएको हुन् उनीहरू ती दोषीहरू कानुनको कठघरामा आउनुपर्छ.
A courtesy meeting has been held between Lumbini Province Chief Minister Chetnarayan Acharya and the United Kingdom's Minister for Indo-Pacific Affairs, Seema Malhotra. During the meeting, discussions were held on the long-standing historical and friendly relations between Nepal and the United Kingdom, development partnerships and the development priorities of Lumbini Province. Chief Minister Acharya stated that the Lumbini Province government is focused on sustainable, inclusive and employment-oriented economic growth. He further noted that Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha, continues to send a message of peace, tolerance and compassion to the world. The meeting also included discussions on how UK support could be made more effective in the areas of human capital development, skills enhancement, health system strengthening, climate change adaptation, agricultural transformation, sustainable infrastructure development, good governance and digital transformation. A practical training on community-based disaster response and search and rescue operations has been conducted in the Narayan River in Nawalparasi of western Nepal. The exercise was organized in coordination with the Armed Police Force No. 31 GOM headquarters Nawalpur and was carried out directly in the river environment. Armed Police Inspector Ramchandra Khatka, the chief trainer, provided hands-on instruction on river rescue techniques, personal safety measures and drowning prevention using locally available household materials. Participants were also trained to construct improvised floating devices using plastic bottles, jerry cans, bamboo and banana plants. The training aimed to enhance community preparedness and awareness against flood and inundation-related disasters. 4 years, Nepal's unemployment crisis has pushed thousands of young people overseas in search of work, turning the country into one of the world's most remittance-dependent economies. But amid the growing wave of labor migration, some returnees are proving that opportunities can still be created at home. One such example is Vijay Chaudhary from Kanchanpur, a former migrant worker who returned from the Gulf and transformed himself into an award-winning fish farmer. Rajina Rai with our local correspondent Sitaram Oja looks more.
विदेश जानु जरुरत पनि छैन सर चाहे जुनसुकै व्यवसाय भए पनि तपाई माछा पालन गाई पालन भैँसी पालन बङ्गुर पालन बाख्रा पालन जुनसुकै व्यवसाय यदि राम्रो तरिकाले गरियो भने युवाहरू जस्तै हामी विदेशमा 12 घण्टा 24 घण्टा नन स्टप चाहिँ त्यो त्यत्रो गर्मीमा हामी काम गरिरहेको त्यो त्यही हाम्रो यो मरुभूमि हामी नेपालमै त्यस्तो नेपाल सरकारले पनि अलिकति व्यवस्था गरिदियो भने त्यो हामी यही पानी र माटोमा सुन फलाउन सकिन्छ.
Like many Nepali youths, Vijay Chaudhary once believed that foreign employment was the only path to a better future. Driven by financial hardship and a dream of supporting his family, he spent 4 years working in the Gulf. But life abroad failed to give him the sense of purpose he was searching for. After returning home to Lalchari rural municipality in Kanchanpur, Chaudhary made a bold decision. Instead of living again, he chose to invest in Nepal. With limited savings and a strong determination, he started fish farming 6 years ago. What began as a small-scale venture has now grown into a successful and sustainable business. Today, fish farming is not only supporting his family financially, but also creating hope within his community. His success has inspired many local youths to rethink foreign employment and explore opportunities in agriculture and entrepreneurship at home. Recognizing his contribution, the government of Nepal recently honored Chaudhary as an outstanding farmer.
भूरा व्यवस्थापनमा धेरै खर्च हुन्छ सर दाना र त्यो भुरामा र हामी प्रति कट्ठा 300 को दरले व्यवस्थापन गर्छौं भुरा र त्यसको दाना र पानी मल खाद मिलाएर मोटामोटी हामीले यो उसबाट 2.5 बिगाबाट लगभग 40 देखि 45 क्विन्टल सम्म माछा बिक्री वितरण गर्छौं र त्यो बराबरको त्यो व्यवस्थापनमा लगभग 6-7 देखि खर्च आउँछ हाम्रो र त्यो कटाएर 7-8 लाख जति
A demand for fish continues to grow in local markets. Chaudhary is steadily expanding his business.
Now, in a significant step towards social dignity and inclusion, local governments in Baitadi district of Sudur Paschim province, Nepal are actively involved in renaming offensive and discriminatory names of different places. However, renaming alone may not be enough as residents are calling for real development on the ground. Subeksha Rajak along with our correspondent Nari Badu brings more.
Even today, the names of some villages in Sudur Paschim province of Nepal are uncomfortable to pronounce. The reason is that the names of certain settlements were given in a manner that was outright demeaning. In recent times, however, such place names and even the names of some individuals have begun to be corrected. This settlement, that was once known by an offensive name, has now been renamed Dhungeokhal. This is not an isolated case. Most of the offensive names in the area have been revised. In the past, the Dalit Society Development Forum and various organizations working in the field of Dalit rights had already renamed the names of some places. When the use of derogatory words in both place names and personal names came to light through media coverage and social networks, the government issued directives allowing such names to be formally changed. Under this directive, Patan municipality in Baitari district launched a dedicated campaign to remove all such offensive names within its jurisdiction.
एउटा 5/5 को बसन्तपुर कुलडा भन्ने ठाउँमा डिमौडा भन्ने नाम थियो दलित बस्ती ठाउँमा त्यसलाई हामीहरूले अब मैले भनौं न वडाको नाम सिर्जन टोल राखेको छ किनभने सिर्जना भनेको एउटा कला हो कलाकार सम्झेर जसले काम गर्छ कला देखाउँछ आफ्नो काम गरेर कुनै प्रस्तुत गर्छ बनाएर दिन्छ भने त्यो कला नै हो भन्ने हामीले सम्झेर त्यसलाई सिर्जन टोल राखेका छौं त्यस्तै विभिन्न टोलहरुका नाम पनि अब हिजोको दिनमा अपेलित नामहरु भएको हुनाले तिनीहरुलाई संशोधन गरेर नगरपालिका अहिलेको वर्तमान स्थितिमा अब संशोधन गर्नुपर्ने अवस्था देखिएका हुनाले पनि अब एउटा सम्मानको लागि पनि दलितहरुप्रति हामीहरुले उच्च सम्मान राखेको कार्यक्रम छ.
While Patan municipality is the only local body to have run a formal campaign including replacing signboards, other municipalities have also resolved to correct such names. Dogda Kedar rural municipality has made a decision to rectify offensive names and is currently in the implementation phase.
आर्थिक वर्ष 82-83 को नीति कार्यक्रममै हामीले त्यो कार्यक्रम राखेका थियौं त्यो योजनालाई र हामीले कयौं वडाहरुको नामहरुलाई अनौपचारिक रूपमा हामीले प्रस्ताव गरेका छौं कतिपय ठाउँमा छलफलहरु पनि हामीले गरिसकेका छौं कुन टोलको नामहरु के राख्ने भनेर.
Although locals feel a sense of relief after the removal of demeaning settlement names, they emphasize that actual physical development of these communities is equally necessary.
अहिलेको पुस्ताको नजरले हेर्दाखेरि त्यो अब अलि खेना जन्दाको आफुलाई नराम्रो फिल हुने जस्तो लाग्छ.
कला भन्दै ढोंकलाको अहिले ढोंगे ओखल राखेको छ अनि त्यो अझै बस्थे त्यहाँ पनि अब अर्धनपुर भनेर पहिला भन्थे अझौडा अहिले तिलगाउँ राखेको छ.
While the process of renaming villages is underway, the revised names have not yet fully taken hold in everyday usage among the general public. For this reason, the government must also formulate and implement comprehensive programs for the overall development of these settlements.
We have international news coming up next, but before that, let's have a recap of the headlines. Severe heat alert issued for 6 districts of Western Nepal. Met Division urges people to adopt precautionary measures. Nepal government assures adequate sugar stock available for next 8 months. Such follows as India's export ban raises concerns. At least 82 killed in a coal mine explosion in China. Blast constitutes the country's worst mining disaster in 16 years. Visiting U.S. Secretary of State Rubio meets Indian Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. Visit expected to put India-U.S. partnership on firmer grounds. Iran says it is in final stages of drafting framework for peace deal with U.S. Adds ending U.S. naval blockade part of the draft. And Nepal defeats Kyrgyzstan in straight sets in the Kava Women's Volleyball Championship. Also keeps its chances of reaching the semis alive. The U.S. has announced a new policy that means most immigrants seeking a green card will have to leave the country and apply at an embassy or consulate abroad. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, said that people seeking a change in status must do so through consular processing outside of the country except in extraordinary circumstances. The move, part of the Trump administration's efforts to curtail illegal immigration, closes a loophole that had allowed visa holders and visitors to apply for a green card while still in the U.S. Critics of the policy say the long-standing system allowed families to stay together during the lengthy application process. The new method could also make it difficult or impossible for some immigrants who leave the country in hopes of gaining a green card, which grants permanent residence in the U.S. to return. Now, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif arrived at Zhoushan Hangzhou International Airport in Hangzhou to kick off his 4-day visit to China. The Pakistani Prime Minister will then visit Beijing to hold meetings with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang. Islamabad and Beijing have both sought to mediate in the Middle East conflict sparked by United States and Israeli strikes on Iran in late February. The visit is also expected to review progress on flagship cooperation projects under the broader Pakistan-China partnership, particularly in infrastructure, energy and connectivity development. It comes as Shehbaz Sharif and Chinese leadership prepare to align positions on regional stability with high-level talks in Beijing involving Xi Jinping and Li Qiang. Now, the World Health Organization has raised the Ebola outbreak risk in the Democratic Republic of Congo to the highest level as infections and death continue to rise. Health authorities have 82 confirmed Ebola cases and 7 confirmed deaths in the DR Congo, while nearly 750 additional suspected cases and 177 suspected deaths are under investigation. Uganda has also confirmed 3 new cases of Ebola on Saturday, bringing to 5 the total since the virus outbreak was discovered in the East African country on May 15. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the outbreak risk is now considered very high within the country, high regionally and low globally. Officials said the outbreak involves the rare Bundibugyo strain of Ebola, for which there are currently no approved vaccines or treatments. The WHO has said that even a prioritized effort to develop a strain-specific vaccine could take between 6 and 9 months. Moving on, the 79th Cannes Film Festival is heading into its final hours in Cannes, France, as anticipation builds for the announcement of this year's Palme d'Or winner, with 22 films in the official competition drawing global attention. On the red carpet, major international stars, including Penelope Cruz, John Travolta, Catherine Deneuve and Ken Loach, have dominated headlines, adding glamour and prestige to one of cinema's most closely watched festivals. Penelope Cruz made a striking appearance at the screening of La Bola Negra, drawing attention with a dramatic black gown and newly styled hair highlights, continuing her long-standing status as a Cannes fashion icon. Meanwhile, John Travolta has been one of the festival's most talked about figures, appearing at multiple premieres and receiving an honorary Palme d'Or for his contribution to cinema and his directorial debut. Elon Musk's SpaceX has launched its Starship V3 rocket, described as the largest and most powerful rocket ever built, following a delayed test flight from Texas in the United States. The uncrewed rocket lifted off shortly after 17:30 local time on Friday, after an earlier launch attempt was postponed due to a launch tower malfunction. During the flight, Starship deployed around 20 dummy satellites before re-entering Earth's atmosphere and splashing down in the Indian Ocean about an hour after launch, where it exploded as planned. The test flight comes as SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk, prepares for a potential initial public offering that could become the largest in Wall Street history. Business news coming up next. For now, a short breather.
The European Union Council has expanded its legal sanctions framework against Iran to include actions that threaten freedom of navigation in the Middle East as a basis for restrictive measures. In a statement released the same day, the EU Council said the revision builds upon existing EU restrictive measures against Iran. Under the updated framework, the EU can impose sanctions on the individuals and entities that participate in or support Iranian actions and policies deemed to threaten maritime security in the region. Measures under the framework include travel bans, asset freezes, and prohibitions on EU citizens and companies providing financial or economic resources to the listed targets. Iran has not yet responded to this. The European Union and Mexico have signed an updated trade agreement that reduces tariffs on each other's goods as both sides seek to diversify trade away from reliance on the United States. The expanded deal, building on an accord originally signed in 2000, was announced at the EU-Mexico summit and aims to remove most remaining barriers to trade and investment. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said the agreement reflects a strategy of opening other horizons amid ongoing global trade tensions, including tariff pressures linked to U.S. trade policy. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the deal would strengthen economic ties, including in sectors such as auto parts, while expanding market access for agricultural and food products. Mexico also agreed to recognize hundreds of food and drink products from specific EU regions, such as Parma ham and Roquefort cheese. The agreement will also lower tariffs on more products and give duty-free access to pasta, chocolate, potatoes, canned peaches, eggs, and certain poultry products. Malaysia will require digital platforms to introduce safeguards from June 1st to restrict account registration and ownership by users under the age of 16. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission said the new rules also mandate stronger content governance to reduce young users' exposure to harmful materials online. The measures are designed to provide age-appropriate protections for high-risk platform features, with regulators allowing a reasonable grace period for companies to comply. Authorities said the framework will be outcome-based, giving platforms flexibility to adopt appropriate verification and safety solutions while meeting the legal requirements. The move follows growing concern over online harms in Malaysia, including scams, cyberbullying, and illegal content involving children, with broader age verification rules planned for 2026.
Now with that, we move on to sports update. Regular practice sessions have begun in Nepal's far western city of Dhangadi under the long-term cricket development campaign called Championship 36, Grassroots to Glory, with the ambitious goal of making Nepal the T20 World Cup champion by 2036. Launched from Dhangadi, known as the City of Cricket, this long-term campaign carries the ambitious target of making Nepal the T20 World Cup winner by 2036. A 10-year strategic cooperation agreement between Go Dreamers and Aishwarya Vaidya Niketan had already been signed at the campaign's very outset. Principal of Aishwarya Vaidya Niketan, Sanjay Pant, informed that starting Monday, students from grade 4 to grade 12 have been given the opportunity to practice in pursuit of this goal. Students participating in the campaign have expressed that their dream is to become cricketers and win the World Cup for the country. They say they have taken to the field with the desire to see Nepal lift the World Cup. North Korea's Nagoyang Women's FC won the Asia Women's Championship League title today, defeating Japan's Tokyo Verdy Beleza 1-0 in the final in Suwon, South Korea. Captain Kim Kyung-yong scored the winning goal just before halftime as the North Korean club secured a continental title during the first visit by a North Korean sports team to South Korea in 8 years. In Saturday's final, Tokyo Verdy struggled to deal with their opponent's pace and intensified throughout the contest as the Suwon Sports Complex and were repeatedly carved open by counterattacks, one of which led to Naegoyang's goal. The victory secures Naegoyang a place in the next year's FIFA Women's Championship Cup and earns the club the tournament's $1 million prize money. Naegoyang's captain Kim Kyung-yong, who finished with 4 goals, was named player of the tournament as North Korea reaffirmed its long-standing strength in women's football on the Asian stage. South Korean spectators wearing sunglasses and caps under the sunny weather were also present, beating traditional Korean drums while cheering from Naegoyang. Moving on, the controversial Enhanced Games is set to open in Las Vegas this weekend, allowing athletes to compete while using performance-enhancing substances banned in traditional international sport. Organizers said athletes underwent medical screening and used substances approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, with 91% reportedly taking testosterone, 79% using human growth hormone, and 29% receiving anabolic steroids. Critics, including the World Anti-Doping Agency, condemned the event as dangerous and warned it could encourage unsafe use of experimental substances without medical supervision. Athletes competing in sprinting and swimming events said they experienced major performance gains during training for 4 months in Abu Dhabi prior to the Enhanced Games. Organizers offering $1 million to anyone breaking the 100-meter sprint or 50-meter freestyle swim, world bests, although such records would not be officially recognized. And now the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. And before we wrap up, let's look at the headlines once again. Severe heat alert issued for 6 districts of Western Nepal. Met Division urges people to adopt precautionary measures. Nepal government assures adequate sugar stock available for the next 8 months. Such follows as India's export ban raises concerns. At least 82 killed in a coal mine explosion in China. Blast constitutes the country's worst mining disaster in 16 years. Visiting U.S. Secretary of State Rubio meets Indian Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. Visit expected to put India-U.S. partnership on firmer grounds. Iran says it is in final stages of drafting framework for peace deal with U.S. adds ending U.S. naval blockade part of the draft. And Nepal defeats Kyrgyzstan in straight sets in the Kava Women's Volleyball Championship, also keeps its chances for the semi-finals. That's all for the moment. Do join us through our social media and visit us at www.nepaltelevision.com for more information and news. I am Ipulagi Singh Lama. Thank you for staying with us. Good night.